Hello, SMITE lovers, and welcome to this beautiful Friday morning. My name is Anatoly. Joining me on the desk today is Melissa Posado. We got some SMITE Minor League North American action. How are you feeling today, Taco?
I'm feeling really good, but even more excited just to get this SML underway. I mean, we're coming up to the close of the fall split, and it's been some pretty exciting action so far.
That's right. Not just North America, but also Europe is trying to fight for the top 3 seeding because those top 3 teams are going to get their chance at HRX. But you folks at home have an easier journey. Just head over to a browser, go to highresexpo.com. You're not going to want to miss it. We got more than just the SMITE World Championship. We got console, Paladins action as well.
Just make sure that you've got November 16th through 18th freed up, and just in case you do arrive a little bit late, don't be late to that after party following the World's event. You're going to want to make sure that you stop on by because there's going to be plenty of people there that you're going to want to say hey to.
Oh, who specifically? Do you know anyone that might want to say hey?
Think of all the players that people always want to meet.
Oh, I thought you were going to go with Finch and his handshakes.
I was going to go with myself, personally.
Okay. So,
I'm clearly amazing.
So Finch is doing handshakes. I'm doing one-button hugs, one-button-down hugs. What are you offering for the folks at home?
Jeez, I'll be honest here, Tolly. I'm not sure anything can top the button-down hug.
Some Instagram selfies? Either way, outside of HRX, we're going to zoom back into the SMITE Minor League because we have 4 matches on the day, best of ones so far. It's a lot of interesting tales of the journey so far. A lot of these teams doing pretty well. Armada being able to fight their way over Team Cryptic. So we're going to start off the day with Very Nice to Me up against Ranked All-Stars.
I'm really excited to see what happens as well with Sanguine. They've been struggling just a little bit here, but I do feel like Sanguine could be one of those dark horse teams and possibly play a little bit of spoiler for some of the others, but Sanguine just trying to keep their chances alive, I think, at that top 3.
It was a little bit of a slow start for Sanguine as we're going to transition to the standings here momentarily because when you look at their jungler, Yuji, you would expect better results out of them. You would expect them to be almost undefeated, kind of like Armada / Very Nice to Me status, but hovering tied for 3rd with Classified.
And that's the problem here, is that Classified and Sanguine are both on the same exact page, but Classified is going to be having to deal with Very Nice to Me later on in the day in comparison to Sanguine, who's got to take on not only Classified, but Armada. And Armada chilling pretty safely at the top now, but can never get too comfortable.
And a lot of it, I feel, has to come to the jungler Cope Baby on that Armada squad, being able to really dictate some of the pacing of this game.
Cope, I think, has been one of the more talked about players so far in the SML. I think since Sam for Soccer was brought up into the major leagues of SPL, we've been seeing a lot of Cope Baby being referenced as possibly the best jungler right now in the SML, and I can't say that I can really disagree with that considering how well Cope's recent performances have been.
Well, that's going to be later on in the day, the number 3 set of the day. But going back to the first one, it's going to be Very Nice to Me against Ranked All-Stars. What is Ranked All-Stars going to have to do to get a win here today, Taco?
The big thing about Ranked All-Stars is I feel like this is a team that's kind of going through a transition period right now. They've had a lot of roster swaps that they've had to undertake and learn to develop their playstyles and synergy after the fact. So I do feel like that definitely caused a little bit of a hindrance against the team overall, but there's still a possibility for them to try and maybe get some heavy pressure going in the early game. Very Nice to Me, being a more seasoned team, tends to go a little bit more mid to late game oriented with their composition. So Ranked All-Stars might just be better off banking everything on the early and closing out the match fast.
Well, we'll see what those mid to late game compositions are as we head into the first game picks and bans draft composition. I think Very Nice to Me are very flexible in their composition, and I'll look at a little bit of their roster and I see a lot of strength coming from their mid lane, Amuel being able to be flexible with the Morrigan.
Amuel for sure has definitely helped out the team greatly. Anytime you have a mid laner that's not only able to take on the Morrigan, but also a wide assortment of mages, I think that he does a great job at playing not only utility, but the hyper carry mages as well. So it can be a little bit unpredictable, which is more problematic for Ranked All-Stars, which is why I don't really want to see Ranked All-Stars trying to focus their draft around countering Very Nice to Me. I'd rather just see Ranked All-Stars try to play to their own specialties.
Well, going to be playing to the Baron Samedi for the first pick after Terra and Freya was banned by Ranked All-Stars. Very Nice to Me, stripping away the Athena and the Chernobog. No real surprise that Very Nice to Me already just snap blocking that pick for Amuel.
It's just too easy for Very Nice to Me. Amuel loves the Morrigan. Not only does she provide an insane amount of I want to call it setup, but it's not always setup. Sometimes Morrigan just takes on the Changeling for herself to look to try and pressure out the mid lane early on. And with that Pele to assist, this could be a little problematic here for ranked All-Stars.
Still a little flexibility, considering it could be jungle, it could be solo lane for solo or troll. We're not going to be too short quite yet until the rest of the draft pans out. But then into response is Amaterasu and Susanoo. Why do we see such a resurgence of Amaterasu, Taco? Not just for the minor league, but specifically the SPL.
She just provides a lot of pressure from the dual lane side of things, and I wish there was a lot more to it than that, but in all honesty, her clear is just fantastic, and the movement speed passive that she's able to provide to the rest of her team just makes her excellent for these chase down compositions. You've got plenty of slows introduced thanks to the Baron pickup, and so with the Emma and Susanoo, there's going to be plenty of dive potential there for ranked All-Stars, which could be beneficial considering Morrigan, you want to try and punish her early on before she has a chance to get to the more safe stages.
Well, we'll see how they transition with the Amaterasu. The ranked All-Stars still need their Hunter. Is very nice to me. Ban away the Jingwei. We know Wowie plays the Jingwei from time to time, and with the Hunter still available, it's going to be the last pick Hunter because Ganesh. When's the last time we saw a Ganesh locked in, Taco?
It's been a hot minute since we've seen the Ganesh, but I think that Ganesh does an excellent job dealing with the Susanoo. The silence is going to be the most crucial aspect here because if ranked All-Stars get caught out just a little bit, all it takes is the Ganesh, one silence, and Susanoo is shut down.
But why not Artio in that case, right? The cripple minefield would be pretty solid.
I think the main reason behind not going for the Artio here is that Artio just doesn't provide enough peel after the fact. She's able to absorb a lot of blows, but she doesn't really bring a whole lot of crowd control herself outside of the cripple field.
Fair enough, fair enough. Hou-Yi and Giannis, the last two selections for ranked All-Stars. I love the Giannis and the Amaterasu combination for the mobility, but then Wowie for very nice to me. Last pick in the Xbalanque, one of his staple picks. Whose draft do you favor here, Taco?
I think I'd have to lean more towards very nice to me at the end there just because of that Xbalanque pickup. Darkest Night is going to be so strong against the entirety of ranked All-Stars because you need vision in order to try and dive onto your opponent, and I just don't think that ranked All-Stars might be lacking a little bit of the execution here to finalize those kills.
Well, execution versus mobility. Let's see what happens as we throw it to the casters. Finch and Aggro, take it away.
Absolutely, totally. Thanks, Taco, as well. Great job on the desk. Ranked All-Stars up against very nice to me Finch and Aggro here as we move into the Pele solo of the day. We've seen Pele all over the place, I would say, jungle, solo, but I think she hasn't had as much success over here in the solo lane.
Not quite as much, but that was for Deathwalker and against a pretty good team that was able to shut him down. So we'll see if Solar Troll is able to make it work. I mean, very nice to me. We can speak pretty openly about it. They've been at the top of the standings in North America all year long, basically. Ranked All-Stars have been at the bottom since joining the minor league. So this is a good opportunity for very nice to me to try out something different, see if they can make the enemy respect it.
Absolutely, and they've made just about everything else work, so why not try this? Solar Troll going, though, a bit different from what we've seen. We sometimes see them start off Glad Shield right away. We've even seen Soul Eater, but going right into the boots. I believe we saw this yesterday as well, trying to get that Warrior Tabi online right away.
I like it because this boots to teleport back after finishing Warrior Tabi start is very aggressive. It gets you kill potential in lane. It lets you really bully the opposition. And Baron is a god that won't be bullied very easily. I mean, he could heal himself by a pretty decent amount, plus all those health potions that he has. But I still think that you get kill potential as Pele, just because your chased out potential and your stickiness is really difficult for Baron to deal with.
Even with your auto attacks, we have that steroid going. It feels like she's still faster than you and keeping up with it, even with that penalty. So Solar Troll going to be looking for that early on because you can pressure out this Baron. And when ranked All-Stars look good, it's often, I would say, between Captain Falcon and Haddix in particular. Those two have had some good games. So trying to pressure Haddix here early is a good call as Oswald dive bombs in, but can't find much more there.
Oh, sprint used by Daddy Lefty. They're looking for Oswald, but that sprint doesn't look upgraded. Still, good dash. Gets the beads out from Oswald.
But because Wowie was so far behind, Daddy Lefty essentially gifts over a bunch of damage taken because Wowie wasn't quite close enough really to follow up off that aggression. Awesome Jake and Oswald, though, are low. Their own sprint gets forced out. Poison darts can't find him, and neither can the auto. So Awesome Jake just barely makes it out. Rising Jaguar, rather, is what he used.
The big thing, though, is that, I mean, in this lane of Hou-Yi, they're losing to Ganesh X-Ball. That's pretty important that Awesome Jake and Oswald have been more focused on getting the poke damage off. And Solar Troll tried to proxy at level 2 in that, or excuse me, he's level 4 at minute 2. And yeah, that's not going to do it for you.
No, especially not with Derek C. Cucumber on that side of the map. Blue buff wasn't too far away from spawning, at least on his side, so maybe some expectation they might be nearby, but not in this case. Derek C. Cucumber gets the kill. Haddix, an assist he'll be happy to take. And Solar Troll, not having the teleport, he already used it to back and grab Warrior Tabi, so a long walk back to lane.
Man, I just got to say, Solar Troll's been in the league all year long, and he has these really great moments as Derek C. Cucumber will take a spill here in the mid. But it's still like once a week, there's one moment where you just go, what is going on? You know, he's clearly a very talented player. I hope he can figure it out, because at some point you expect he will.
Awesome Jake takes quite a bit of damage over here in the dual lane. Through space and time committed. Perhaps they thought there was going to be more aggression for Awesome Jake than there ended up being, but that's okay. He'll have that cooldown back before too long, but an unfortunate kill in solo is answered back by a kill in the middle lane. That makes it 1-for-1 now between these two teams. And despite that, very nice to me, still about 500 or so gold out in front.
Glavis has a huge lead over Derek C. Cucumber right now. Okay, two things. Number one, I imagine that is Mirage, because I believe Mirage was playing with this team last week, and Mirage and Captain Falcon, also known as Man Ray, have been playing together for a long time.
Oh,
and
Derek C. Cucumber, you mean?
Yes,
yes,
yeah.
I believe so, yes.
But they also are a big fan of SpongeBob references, a.k.a. Man Ray and the Dirty Bubble were their old names. Do you really think that Derek C. Cucumber was taken, or that he just misspelled cucumber in this position?
Yeah, I think that an error was made. I prefer to call him as if it were spelled correctly, but yeah, it seems as if that couldn't quite hit home.
Cucumber?
Yeah. No, I'm going to call him what I assume the name is meant to be, C. Cucumber.
Yeah, I'm going to do that as well, but I'd like to know if, like, does someone else really have Derek C. Cucumber?
Perhaps. So this is the guy that SpongeBob was a big fan of originally, like the jellyfish.
The jellyfishing
hunter?
guy,
Yeah,
right? Right,
remember.
exactly. And he was a jerk.
He turned out to be quite the jerk, didn't he? That let to be a lesson to you. Don't meet your idols unless you want to go to HRX. In which case, come meet your idols.
Exactly,
Yeah.
because we won't be jerks to you.
Right. I am not a jellyfish hunter.
No, but that doesn't mean you're not a jerk. I mean, that's not.
I know, but I'm Kavanaughing it. I'm not answering the real questions.
Cool. Red buff invade by very nice. To me, Glavis continuing to use that Ratatosker lead. He's got Blink, no beads, so CC could be potent, but Ranked All-Stars doesn't really have a lot of it, and that's why Glavis is able to go for this Blink.
Very aggressive, though, from Very Nice to me with this positioning. They want this red buff invade. It's hard to tell a little bit because of how deep they are, but Oswald is the one who ends up low first. Up into the dive bomb, very patient. Comes back down on top of Amuel and finds the kill, but Glavis will trade it out in kind. Now it's Daddy Lefty who's in trouble. Derek C. Cucumber finds him on the backside to make it 2-for-1. Never mind, 2-for-2. Glavis keeps things even.
Awesome Jake sticks around for no real reason, and
he's just watching,
gets punished for it. Good defense, though, by Ranked All-Stars. It really good ultimate coming out of Captain Falcon, gave Awesome Jake a way out. Oswald was able to deal a lot of damage before he fell. Derek C. Cucumber looking for Glavis. Pre-beads used by Derek, and that should get it done. Nice play by Ranked All-Stars jungler. I don't like Amuel's decision there to transform into the Pele. I think that in the early stages here, the Ama transformation is just going to do you way more good. You want to get a character, as Solar Troll needs to use Volcanic Lightning. Haddix had the damage available. You need a little bit more protection in the early stages, and as Morrigan mid, you're leveling your 2, and you get Reflective Mirror leveled whenever you transform into Ama, which is what you want. You still got a point in your 1, which is what you want. Your ultimate is great, and it gives you a lot more mobility and protection. Pele's good in the I'm chasing you down moments, where maybe you're a little bit healthier than Ama can really deal. But in that situation, Amuel was in a bad spot, and I feel like the Ama transformation is the one. Usually when you're playing Morrigan, you pre-select your worst-case scenario transformation, where I need help right now, get me out of here transform, and that should be Ama, not Pele.
Haddix in a little bit of trouble on the left-hand side, but a good root and the heal will keep him topped off. But I agree, when Pele is in that situation where she's in the middle of 3 people, she needs to have already been casting the 2, knocking people up, right? And it needs to already be in that situation, but transforming into it in the middle of the chaos, maybe not ideal there for MUL. But they very much hard committed to that engagement. That's why Ranked All-Stars, as Awesome Jake isn't able to hit home with the ultimate there. they very heavily committed, did very nice to me, to that engagement on the red buff. Like, it was not a surprise. It was not a sneaky steal. They were there for a while before they actually went for the invade.
And they don't really use Glavis' ultimate. I mean, Glavis is standing there waiting to play aggressive instead of trying to use the ultimate, which he's doing now, trying to chase down on Awesome Jake and Oswald. He'll only hit onto the support. Does some very good damage, but very nice to me, not able to get a kill there.
They used Wowie's ultimate as well, Darkest of Night, to try and create some cover, but it wasn't enough. Perhaps the night vision goggles are out for ranked All-Stars. Either way, though, they were able to get away from the aggression on the left-hand side, and Oswald can go back to trying to farm it up. I would have... You talked about this a little bit already, right? But it hurts so much that this duo lane fell behind early on, right? If you have the Hoi Amaterasu into a Ganesh Xbalanque, that should be your lane. And unfortunately, these two are kind of playing from behind now for the rest of the game.
Ganesh's great push. It ups the Xbalanque push by quite a bit, but Awesome Jake wasn't using his passive to make sure that the whole wave was taking more damage from Oswald. I mean, you got to get in there and throw some auto attacks through to make sure that you're exposing the wave, and that way Oswald can deal more damage with the ricochet. Awesome Jake, longtime solo main, has just moved over to support from what I understand, so clearly some things he needs to work on there and just unfamiliarity with the role. He is very, very familiar with Amaterasu. I mean, he's been an Ama main forever, so he's definitely comfortable with the character. It's just not the same as it is in the solo lane.
It's not, and there's small nuances, I think, that when they're maximized at the highest level that make this pick feel so strong. And her strength in the laning phase is a key part of what she does, but it's not all. He might be okay as Derek C. Cucumber takes a lot of poke on left-hand side, just barely making it out of there. Very nice to me, showing the damage they can put out.
Amuel actually picks up the pen boots instead of the cooldown boots, which are basically core. This means he's going to get less transformations, less invisibilities, but if you can make them work, then it'll be just fine. Clearly, the burst damage is there.
Red buff invade, take two for very nice to me. Awesome Jake and Oswald to hear the stun lands. Through space and time, committed early as Oswald dive bombs in aggressively, but he's really all alone. That might have been a mistake as he avoids Glavis' ultimate, but not the blink. Glavis finds the first kill, but they will lose Daddy Lefty on the other side.
Lefty just a little bit too far away from everybody else. Lefty is trying to create this seal to make sure that ranked All-Stars aren't able to get into the jungle and therefore take that fight. And that's a worthwhile trade, red buff invade and an ADC for Lefty. I do wonder if he could have let someone in a little bit earlier, and because the fight had already been won by Very Nice to me. I wonder if his death was really necessary there, but the idea, I think, is very, very sound.
Either way, Very Nice to me have been the aggressor so far throughout this game, and the red buff has been the target. And it feels like by any means necessary. A lot of the times we see these red buff invades, they're very quick operations, right? You get in there right as the buff spawns, grab it, get back out. Very Nice to me are there very early, and they're also there very late on the back end of it. And both times it's cost them at least a life on both ends.
It is getting Glavis pretty big, though. And Glavis, since taking over for Sanford Soccer, has looked very, very good on this Ratatosker pick in particular. It's to the point where I think teams will start to take this away from Very Nice to me, make Glavis prove he's got something else in the God pool. But Derek C. Cucumber's kept up, if only because he is also sitting with 4 kills so far. Glavis has every kill so far for Very Nice to me, whereas Derek has 4 out of 5 thus far for his side.
And an assist on the other. He's been, I would say, the prime beneficiary of the sticking around a little bit too long from Very Nice to me so far. Even when they haven't been, his chase down potential on the Susano is so high. And he's at a good point in the game now where he has that potential. But Glavis, as you said, is a good bit out in front, about a level and a half, to try and make matters worse. As you haven't seen too much from Haddix yet this game, aside from his attempts to take down Solo or Troll. He finds the root, but can't find the rest of the damage. But who else but Derek C. Cucumber would show up to make sure the kill happens.
Haddix has had control of this lane since Solo or Troll tried to proxy at level 4. And really has done a good job of controlling it since then. Oswald Leap already down. Amuel coming through. Stun and auto get the job done. Awesome Jake will fall next. Wowie able to put himself on the board. A couple kills. Don't go to Glavis for Very Nice to me. But Very Nice to me now going to head right towards the Gold Fury.
And that's another thing, as this Gold Fury gets started by Very Nice to me. Oswald has died on every red buff invade.
Yep.
It's one thing to let the buff get stolen, but you can't lose out on all this farm time. It's Very Nice to me grab the Gold Fury quite cleanly. Derek C. Cucumber too late on the Typhoon. Now has to use beads just to try and get away from Glavis. Sprints out, the stun lands, and he ends up falling. Kadesh might even have bestowed that one, but a nice kill for Very Nice to me.
Normally, the stun is not the crazy hard part to land for Ratatosker, but it's trickier than it looks to get that stun consistently. Glavis has been able to do it so far this game, and on a juking target like that, it is not easy. So Glavis definitely looking very, very comfortable on this pick. And you're right. I mean, Oswald continues to be behind. It does go back to not getting lane control where it feels like they should have had it.
Sure.
Wowie has been able to continually get player damage, which is very, very important for Xbalanque. He's getting passive stacks, which means Wowie's just hitting harder than Oswald can really contend with. Once Oswald finishes stacking the Devo gloves, it's going to be a little bit easier because at least he's got some lifesteal that Wowie does not. But by that point, how many passive stacks will Wowie have by then? You know, it's difficult.
Not going to be easy trying to outbox this Xbalanque, not with that Transcendence. And there it is. His one moment where he might have had an advantage has vanished, I would say, as Aussie comes in for Wowie in that third item slot. A nice bridge item in this matchup, I would say. I don't like it uniformly, I don't think anymore, but I think in this slot it definitely works.
Well, I think it only works because the big knock on it is that it doesn't have any power at all. And the lifesteal isn't great. The attack speed's pretty good. The pen is pretty good. But it's just a little bit lackluster. Imagine if you got to throw in some free power, though, via Xbalanque passive. Yes. That item looks a lot more attractive when you think of it that way.
Awesome Jake in some trouble. Silence has him locked down. Captain Falcon half HP on the back end as well, and Glavis goes up one more time to try and find a target. He does land the knock-up. It's Derek C. Cucumber, but Victor's space and time has clipped everyone quite low. Haddix can't find Amuel on the backside. Now he might get collapsed on.
Haddix is by himself, but he's still awfully healthy. No life of the party available. Glavis going to get out of that consigned spirits. Oswald coming around the back. Wowie's got to use the beads and the ultimate.
Oswald did have some shots to put in from the backside, as you highlighted, and that was enough to force them to give up the ghost onto Haddix and allow them to reposition. A much better response, I would say, from ranked All-Stars on the red buff this time, if not primarily because Haddix was a part of it on the back end, but also because it was a little bit sloppy, I would say, where it gets closer to the tier 2 tower on the dive.
It feels like Glavis should have gotten at least one, if not two, in that spot. Lefty did great work in that team fight. I mean, he was tanking up cooldowns. He put Awesome Jake very, very low with just a little bit of help from Amuel. He put Derek C. Cucumber low so that Glavis had a chance to come in and kill him. That was a really good fight for Lefty in particular, but the rest of Very Nice to Me just couldn't really capitalize.
And I like it. Captain Falcon got pushed out very early, but I think he hit one or two people with the through space and time that he had to use as well, which definitely helped out in that fight. He's been liberal with them so far, so I'm glad that he continued that. This one was able to hit home. He hasn't gone as hard cooldown as we often see from our Giannis's, but he's kept the mindset to fire it for the team and at least try and find that damage.
Said it a lot. Still not a big fan of power Giannis.
Sure.
Every mage gives you power and can hurt people very well, but no one else does what Giannis does. I think that not going any CDR kind of does the character a disservice, but Derek again under some siege. But, I mean, if you can, it feels really great to have full power when you literally flatten someone with the 4-2 combo, but so far it hasn't happened for Captain Falcon. He's got very low player damage.
Unfortunate. Haddix was only maybe half a second too soon there on his attempt to steal Pyromancer. But Very Nice to Me. Awesome Jake did not reposition enough during that duration of the dazzling offensive. He does make it out, and now force a deep commit from Solar Troll, who gets knocked up by the ultimate, but he's still alive somehow. The lifesteal is absurd. He eventually ends up falling to Derek C. Cucumber to make it 1-for-1, but a great dive.
But it's only Solar Troll who dives, and now Glavis gonna join in. I mean, the dive works initially, but costs Very Nice to Me way too much. Lefty's tanking up tier 1 to give Solar Troll a way out potentially. Glavis decides to join in late. It's just way too much of an overcommit underneath that tower for it to really be worth it. Awesome Jake may have just killed himself though. Wow, he doesn't want to fully commit to this dive after watching what just happened to his teammates. Very Nice to Me to seem a little bit too scattered.
Yes.
Right now. They've got the right idea. It feels like the voice is still there. The lessons they've learned by being a top team throughout this minor league season are still there. But I don't know if it's new roster. I don't know what it is. But adding 2 new members, it just feels like Very Nice to Me knows what they're supposed to do, but are just not doing it in the proper ways.
Yeah, for me, I thought this Very Nice to Me team would struggle a little bit more than they have. I think they're a bit overperforming to have had this many roster shakeups. So it's very, very strong from them to at least to still look this good. But I agree. I don't even mind they overcommitted. It just wasn't as a cohesive unit. It's Very Nice to Me have the Gold Fury quite low. It looks like, though, Oswald's nearby. Doesn't have the ultimate. Through space and time is forced out.
Reset.
And that's enough for Very Nice to Me to drop the Gold Fury. But now Ranked All-Stars are all here.
Very good reset. Ranked All-Stars thinking about picking it up. Gold Fury's already a little bit weak, down to half. Glavis has that ultimate. Amuel finds a stun on Awesome Jake, and Gold Fury goes down for the All-Stars.
They steal it away, but it does cost them life of their support. But if that's all, they can feel pretty good about that one. It looks like they're pretty cleanly out at this point. It's Very Nice to Me start to hunt for some low health bars. Havoc is the only one pushing up. Daddy Lefty might have a chance for the wraparound, but instead gives up on it. Ranked All-Stars with a nice steal.
I believe that was Typhoon coming from Derek that was able to secure it for the Ranked All-Stars. A bit of a risk, but ends up working out for them. Very Nice to Me stays grouped after the objective, though, and Ranked All-Stars begin to spread out. That guarantees a tower in Very Nice to Me's favor, and they might even be able to force a second, though. That seems a little bit ambitious here.
Yeah, it looks like they're falling back for now, so the gold is much closer than it once was. Only 2,000 difference, but the experience remains an issue, at least for now. 5,400 in the advantage of Very Nice to Me. No big surprise there. They've been out in front most of the game. A lot of that disparity appears to be between Awesome Jake and Daddy Lefty, at least right now. About a 2-level difference there. But everyone, for the most part, has a lead. Except for these junglers. Derek Sea Cucumber's done a good job staying at least close to Glavis.
5-2 for the jungler for the Ranked All-Stars. He's done a great job so far of securing kills and being in the right spots. Just the Ranked All-Stars have kind of been on the back foot at the beginning of so many of these engagements. It's been counter-engages every time for the Ranked All-Stars, and I think that does benefit their composition in a lot of ways, but they could also be the aggressors. I mean, if Captain Falcon's able to find a good through space and time on top of Glavis or Amuel, and then you can lock them down with that Dazzling Offensive. The problem is Very Nice to Me is awfully mobile, and so Dazzling Offensive loses a bit of inherent value. I mean, almost everybody from Very Nice to Me has a way to get out of that without using a Purification Beads or an ultimate. I mean, even Amuel, the one without a traditional dash, has Bumba's Mask now, so he's so fast, I don't know if you can really keep up with him unless you're right next to him.
That positioning's going to be critical as they start to move over to the right side of the map. Gold Fury's still down for about 3 minutes. So at this point, really the only contest point is going to be on this right-hand side. Fire Giant or Pyromancer. Pyromancer's still down at this moment as well, and I don't know if Very Nice we feel quite comfortable enough going for this Fire Giant. The game, I would say, through 20 minutes has been closer than you might have expected between these two teams, and that closeness might be causing Very Nice to Me to reconsider, as Solar Troll wants to try and catch out. Haddock's not going to find him.
I do like the Very Nice to Me is grouped up right now because Ranked All-Stars seem to be a little bit slower in getting prepared for the groupings. As a newer team and one with not as much experience, that can happen as Haddock's now caught out all alone on this right-hand side. 2 members coming to his support. And in fact, he's going to try and turn it around.
Finds a nice heal and the Soul Gem to get him back topped off. Now it's Solar Troll, who's a little bit too far forward. Glavis has to use his ultimate to reposition as well. But Awesome Jake wants a little bit more. Sprint and Dazzling Offensive. Should be able to find him a stun. Solar Troll now locked down. They drop down the Dharmic Pillars, but it makes things worse for Solar Troll. A good knockup, though, allows him to reposition, and Very Nice to Me make it out.
Man, that was nearly a disaster between Lefty and Solar Troll. Solo face plants directly into the pillar, but all's well that ends well. Pyromancer pulled now for the Ranked All-Stars, getting lower, and they'll secure it.
They are able to grab it. What about the fight on the back end? Awesome Jake is the target, chunked by the damage Amuel. The Silence locks him down as well. He does get a nice heal
Soul
coming
Gem
out from Haddock's. The Soul Gem's there as well, and Awesome Jake repositions, and Very Nice to Me no longer have a target.
Soul Gem is picked up by Haddock's, actually, so really trying to get in there with that extra healing. And no anti-heal at all so far for Very Nice to Me, and that has been a problem. I mean, Haddock's is a lot harder to kill if you can't shut down that healing. I think Glavis should absolutely have a Brawler's Beat Stick by this point in the game. It just makes your kill potential on Haddock's, onto Awesome Jake, even onto Oswald a lot easier, and it doesn't look like he's prioritizing it. Amuel can't really go Divine Ruin unless he really wants to give up damage But I feel like at this point he needs to. Someone needs anti-heal on Very Nice to me.
That's a good point. He's really just not that good even at applying it, I would say, either. But it's a tough spot. You're right, but they got to get some anti-heal come out in some capacity to try and slow this down. I talked about at the beginning of the game that I thought Haddix and Captain Falcon were two of the ones that could really carry for this ranked all-star team when they look good. And Captain Falcon's had some struggles, but Haddix has looked great so far here on this Baron. He's had lane pressure all game. The fights that he rotates in, he has a much bigger impact than Solar Troll, at least so far. And the heals are truly going to start to become a problem. Him and Derek Sea Cucumber are absolutely keeping them in this.
I think Haddix has been nearly the sole reason that ranked all-stars are at it. Yes, Derek Sea Cucumber got a lot of kills. He stole gold, but Haddix has been unanswerable in these team fights, and he's been able to keep Solar Troll under wraps.
Well, Glavis going to go up into the air. Gold Fury low, but has been leashed. Amuel turns into the Baron to try and find some of the pull, but it's not there. Through space and time, I believe clipped Wowie on the back end. That's why he's running for the hills. Oswald low, though. Solar Troll's damage is here in full force. Aegis gives him a moment,
portal.
And Oswald able to reposition, but Solo chases him down.
Haddix fell first, and that is why Very Nice to me feels so confident to keep going forward. Wowie has gone back to base and is now healthy, but it's going to take him a bit to get back to this fight. Good fight from ranked all-stars. I mean, good Typhoon. They knock up a bunch. Through space and time, hits a priority target, but Solar Troll kind of goes unanswered, and not a lot of good peel on the back line for Oswald, plus Haddix too far forward. He actually sells the Soul Gem now and picks up a Pythags piece, which I really don't understand. If you're going for... If you really want Pythags piece, you could just sell the Guardian's Blessing. I guess he wants to be tankier, but if you need to be tankier right away, then selling your Guardian's Blessing, working on a tank item, like, say, a Mantle of Discord, and then selling the Soul Gem later on, I think makes a lot more sense. I don't know. I don't like it from Haddix.
Yeah, this Pythags is very confusing to me. The Soul Gem was doing work.
It was.
From what I saw, at the very least, it helped him out underneath the tier 1 tower.
I mean, it makes him super squishy. It makes him super squishy, but if you're committing to it, you're committing to it. Like, you've already done it. Now you're down a decent amount of gold. Soul Gem in particular, because I think that Haddix is really less there to do damage and more there to be a CC and control
But
character.
that part hasn't changed, right? He's no more or less squishy. I would say he might be more, right?
No, he gets health from Pythags piece. He gets 200 health, but that's about it. And if you get off 2 Soul Gem procs without anti-heal, that's more than 200 health. So you're right. I mean, ultimately, he's probably a little bit squishier after this.
We'll see if Haddix can make it work for him, though. That was the call on that last fight. They might feel some confidence because the Gold Fury fight was very close. It very nearly went their way. They got Wowie out of it early on, but can they replicate it here one more time on the Fire Giant and actually close it out? It's very nice to me. Look like they want to push in right. Solar Troll looking for some poke. Can't find much. The tier 1 tower goes down, and Glavis has Captain Falcon busy in the middle lane.
2 Blackthorn Hammers here for Very Nice to me. An item you don't see a whole lot of. It gives you a lot of health, so I understand it. Decent physical power as well. 450 health is a ton, plus the MP5. I don't mind it on Solar Troll. I would really like to see Glavis have anti-heal instead. I still think that you're really lacking it. And now everyone's got more lifesteal because of this Pythags piece.
Well, up into the air is Haddix. He's going to pull in Daddy. Lefty and gets removed. Oswald with the ricochet finds him. He's low on the backhand side, though, and has to run away. In fact, his Solar Troll hunts him down with those cone autos. Captain Falcon finds Wowie in the back end. 2 for 1 so far in ranked All-Stars' favor if they can keep it going.
Amuel transforming into the Baron. That'll force the beads out from Captain Falcon. But Amuel has been a non-factor in the last however many team fights. I mean, Wowie gets dove heavily. Both relics down for him.
Again.
Amuel has got to do more on these backside. I mean, the player damage is second from the bottom.
And that really has made the difference in these last 2 engagements. Even though they lose the Gold Fury fight, Wowie wasn't a part of it. In this fight as well, Wowie never really gets to be a part of it. That's why ranked All-Stars I think are looking so much closer in it. Also, this time, Solar Troll, he does get to the backside and find the kill, but it's after already ranked All-Stars kind of found their impact. On the Gold Fury fight, Solar Troll is just chilling in the middle of the team fight on the backside, harassing Oswald, and this time maybe not quite as soon he's able to get back there.
I also just think that the Baron transformation is not a good one for Amuel at this point in the game.
Sure.
Again, he's not there to deal damage. He's there to be a constant poke machine, to help you out in team fights via the sustain, but you have so little time as a transformed Baron. You're getting off what? 2 consigned spirits, maybe. If you're only getting off 1, then it's horrendously bad. Even 2 isn't great. Why doesn't Amuel just transform into Ratatosker and dive the backline with Glavis, and then you reset the fight by getting behind the opposition? I think there are way better options. Transform into Ganesh or Ama to peel for Wowie. Keep them off of him. Baron's not going to give you good peel. I just don't think that Amuel's transformation options, or decisions rather, he's got great options. You transform to the Giannis, take Wowie out of there and snipe someone out. I mean, there are really good options. It's just Amuel hasn't used them.
We'll see a very nice to make it work on Fire Giant. Take 2. Pyromancer was being considered, but it's been leased at this point. Haddix forcing them off. Lefty has the silence, but there's no more follow-up off the back end. But Amuel was invis, but couldn't find a way back in. He does find the stun onto Haddix, however. He has to use the Aegis early on. Sunbreaker dissects the team fight through space and time, finds no one this time, and Oswald in trouble as Glavis goes for the dive.
Solar Troll low. Amuel going to transform again into the Baron. This time he'll get some value out of it. Awesome Jake brought back and brought down. Derek's on the backside trying to flank, but he's all alone.
He invested a lot of time into this flank to find very little purchase. That's going to cause some problems now for ranked All-Stars. Amuel removes him as well.
Nice
2 for 0. And very nice to me, have won the fight handily, can start looking for the objectives.
Captain Falcon doesn't have his ultimate available, and very nice to me he's too low to go straight for Fire Giant despite the 5-on-3. So ranked All-Stars stands strong enough. Captain Falcon has Blink available, which I guess he's got Blink available. So I thought he might go for the Blink Unstable Vortex. I've never been a big proponent of Blink Giannis, but he's so safe if you position well enough that theoretically you don't really need Aegis. A lot of good teams will force you to need Aegis, though.
Yep. You know, sometimes Blink Unstable Vortex gets the job done. Probably not as often as Aegis, but, you know, sometimes. As Fire Giant now being considered by very nice to me. They will not have Derek C. Cucumber for this, so at best there will be 4 members here, but right now it's only Haddix. The rest of the squad nowhere nearby. Through space and time not available, so Haddix going to need to be the hero here. Through space and time is not there in time. Very nice to me secure it. Looks like it might have been a little bit to the left too. I can't quite tell.
Yeah, it was.
But either way, very nice to me. Grab the objective and find the disengage.
One of the things about the new map in Season 5, even though we're all the way into almost October, is that when you play on the same map for so long, you know how to hit every objective from every angle. It's not just as easy as lining it up on the mini-map sometimes, because over a long distance, just a small angular miscalculation will send it off kilter like that. But I wonder if Captain Falcon was looking to snipe out and kill Amuel and Wowie, because he hit them both with the same ultimate, and that was good, but not enough to steal the objective itself, of course. Wasn't aiming for it.
Well, now we transition. We were in this sort of jungle objective dance mode for quite a while on the right-hand side of the map. I believe it was the 18 or 19-minute mark when they really first started walking over there. But now, after a long battle, very nice to be ready to start the sieging stage. And ranked All-Stars, how good are their tools? I kind of like Ho Yi on the defense, but aside from that, how strong is this ranked All-Stars team?
It's pretty good. I mean, Typhoon's a very good defensive option. Baron is good on defense. I don't mind ranked All-Stars composition for the defense. Not great, but it's not awful. Very nice to me's offensive capability is not great. They don't have a lot of good blink engage. I mean, who's going to do it? Solar or Troll? Glavis might just go up into the tree and try that to initiate. We'll have to wait and see.
Your 2 towers low. Glavis is up in the air and has a chance for a big knock up on the back end. Hits 2 and forces beads from another. Haddix goes up onto the coffin, but Glavis already found Awesome Jake. Haddix now locked down. Solar Troll gonna find one himself. Through space and time, had a chance, but doesn't quite hit home. And very nice to me now, still can line up for the siege.
Oswald still has the ultimate, but very nice to me can do a lot of damage in this short time where ranked All-Stars aren't ready for the Phoenix. They give him a lot of respect. They can just wait and use Fire Giant regen at this point. Blink forward is another ultimate coming from Amuel this time as he transformed into X-Ball, gets the kill onto Oswald, and forces ranked All-Stars back. That was a very good transformation.
Captain Falcon and Derek C. Cucumber now both have to come back towards the fountain. Very nice to me. With 5 members here, there are still 2 Tier 2 towers up, but they're going to go for this anyway. They're going to say Derek C. Cucumber and Captain Falcon are not enough to make the defense. Portal's good. Titan now down to half HP. Wowie finds Derek C. Cucumber, but the Titan DPS has slowed. They turn their attention back to it. Now we can see Awesome Jake showing up, but it's too late. Very nice to me. Just under 32 minutes. Grab the game.
It took a long time, and they finally get there. I don't think it's a coincidence. The last 2 fights that went in Very Nice to Me's favor, Amuel finds really good transformation ideas and then makes them work. It's the transform into Baron on the right-hand side where Awesome Jake had already committed the dash and already committed the ultimate. That's a guaranteed kill. And then that left side Phoenix Siege, I think transforming into the X-Ball is something that really caught Ranked All-Stars off guard. Cloaked the initiation from Very Nice to Me, was right on time with Glavis' blink. That was good teamwork, and Very Nice to Me clearly has that in them. They just seem to falter a little bit there. Some decision-making woes. This is a team that, I mean, we're judging them pretty harshly, but that's because they've been the best team all split.
Yes.
And they need to continue that if they want to come to land.
Yeah, we made it to the point now where we can start judging them looking a little bit forward, and we're wondering how they're going to do in those placement stages if they make it.
Right.
And now that's kind of the barometer we hold them at. But who was your MVP from that last performance? Very strong, very nice to me. A lot of choices to make. But I got to ask you, Ryan, the Tier 2 tower defense decision there from Ranked All-Stars, that's kind of where things go awry.
Yeah, I don't
Was
love
that
it.
the problem?
Yeah, I think so. Like we were talking about, the initiation underneath a Phoenix isn't very good.
Right.
Underneath a Tier 2, it's a lot easier for Glaves to get that angle where you can't really see him, and he gets a huge knock up on the backside. Lefty again. I thought he played great on that Ganesh. And like we were saying, I think that Ranked All-Stars, they've proven they can beat minor league teams. And so it's time to start judging them on how well they'll do against SPL teams.
Right.
If they're able to make it out of that round robin. And if they play like that, it's good enough to beat minor league. It's not good enough to beat the SPL.
That's right. A difficult path for them to make, but that's just the level that we're judging them at. Very nice to me. Do find the win here, but can they keep it going? That's the question. A full day of SML, though, still ahead of you. We've got a lot more coming your way, so we're getting everything ready for those next matches, and we'll be right back.
Welcome back, Smite lovers. Continuing our coverage for the North American Smite Minor League action. Joining me today is Melissa Passato, Best Taco. I'm Anatoly. How are you feeling today?
I'm feeling really good, but even more looking forward to this next matchup that's just taken place. Very nice to me. And Ranked All-Stars just finished duking it out, but now it's time for Classified to try and stepping up to bat.
It's funny how we can compare these last two sets because the last one was the complete opposites. You have an 8-0 team now versus an 0-8 team, whereas this set, both teams coming in at 4-2. This is your battle for that number 3 spot because it seems that Armada seems to be almost close to securing number 2.
This set is without a doubt going to determine who probably ends up in that 3rd place standing by the end of this week. Of course, there's still one more week left of competition for the minor league, but getting solidified in that 3rd place position would be a nice way to be headed into the final week.
I'm expecting both of these teams to come out firing right off the gates, knowing how aggressive Classified is, where they won spring. They couldn't really repeat that same performance in the summer. They have a little bit more to prove now in the fall split.
And Sengwon as well, I think, is kind of on the same page there. I think that Sengwon for a while is just filled with players who have always been on the cusp of being considered for that above average level for competitive play, and then they just seem to fall short. But now is their time, or a great chance for them at least, to try and make sure that they can have it happen.
Well, this year could be Sengwon's year if they draft correctly against Classified. Taking away Pele and the Morgan, really focusing out some of the popular minor league picks, whereas Raven banned away alongside the Chernobog. Not a very common ban, but for Sengwon specifically, usually has been known to play aggressive.
I would agree, but I like the response from the Classified to pick up for the Baron. Knowing that Sengwon would have the Athena, I think it's best for Classified to try and maybe solidify a draft based around their jungle, just so they can look for this setup. That way, if their jungler wants to go in a little bit more aggressively, they won't have to be as concerned about whether or not they have the proper interrupt and follow-up for it.
Well, even more crowd control on top of the Athena. The Agni selected for Sengwon to try to deal with some of these hyper carries out of the Freya. Controlling the Freya wouldn't be a bad idea with more global pressure on the Ratatosker. How are you feeling about this control?
I actually like the Ratatosker with the Athena. I think that there's always the threat of that through the Cosmos with the Defender of Olympus. You never know.
Double
Having
dunk.
both of them crashing down on you is some serious damage. And the Agni as well, really smart pickup choice here from Sengwon in response to the Baron Freya. I think that that's going to be a lot of nice space control, which is pretty mandatory up against the Freya.
That's right. You're talking about space control. Hunbats has a lot of space control with that Fear No Evil. Trying to fight fire with fire against this Agni Athena. No pun intended, folks, I promise.
I don't believe you on that one. That's just never
It's
the
so
case
casual
with
now
me.
at this point. I can't even help it.
I understand. For now, we'll let it slide, but Classified not trying to let through any of these hunter pick choices for Sengwon. Clearly a lot of focus towards this duo lane, and for good reason. Sengwon, I think, does tend to play a little bit more from that side of the map, so anything that can limit some of their aggressive stances early on is usually going to pan out fairly well.
Diesel from Sengwon's Hunter side has been playing the on her frequently, so not surprised to see Classified doing their homework, taking that option away from them, but wanting to put Diesel in a comfortable position. I like the Kumbhakarna and the Kuzenbo band to be able to allow him freedom.
Hoyi is still available, though, for Diesel if that's the direction that he wants to lean towards. It's another one of his staple hunter picks, I feel, for recent times, and that's what's going to be the case here. Up against the Hachiman as well, it's a pretty decent matchup. Hoyi tends to do best against gods who rely on dashes for their escapes.
Makes a lot of sense. And Guan Yu, to wrap things up also for Sengwon, the team fight control from Sengwon, it seems to be very well balanced, and trying to fight against that, it's going to be the last selection, Artio. It's going to be difficult for Ratatosker to get out now through the Cosmos.
Mild forms of self-sustain or team sustain overall, because Baron can provide a little bit of a heal to Classify, in the same case on the opposite end of things with the Guan Yu there for Sengwon. And Guan Yu, probably one of the solo laner picks that we don't really get to see all that often anymore.
Which is surprising with how popular Amaterasu has been recently. When I think of popular, strong late game warriors out of that solo lane, I'm thinking Amaterasu, I'm thinking Guan Yu, but Sengwon would rather have young lad go on the horse from time to time. We'll see how that pans out for him.
I like this, though, from Sengwon, the response towards, I think, the entirety of Classified's draft, because Guan Yu as well, in that ultimate, is going to be able to chase down a lot of the members from Classified who could struggle to escape.
Oh, look at this proxy farm from Zaxi and Pain de Beyond. wanting to be very aggressive, then maybe look for some invades, but not able to really successfully clear the wave whatsoever. It's going to force out Sanguine to start off with their own red buff, but we could see a purple buff invade after this, Taco.
I think we should almost definitely see Pain, Devion, and Zaxi looking to contest at this purple buff. Mineral and Diesel could try and defend it if they choose, but I feel like the wave might just be a little bit too appealing here. No, Diesel's going to end up getting caught out. He took the bait there from Pain, Devion, now forced to try and look for the triple bounce, and that Ricochet will deal some decent damage into Pain.
Oh, Mineral not wanting to give this up, popping the sprint, but Pain, Devion, cool as a cucumber, still holds on to his defensive relic, knows that there was no real kill potential. Was that worth defending your own purple buff, giving up a whole wave?
They didn't have a choice. The moment that Diesel got caught out by Pain and was rooted in place, he's kind of forced to take up that engagement. Because at the very least, they were able to keep Classified from invading, and sure, now they're going to be behind an entire wave of XP, which is a little bit of a doozy here, but Sanguine certainly are probably going to be able to recover this.
Well, still has the relics, so Pain, Devion could be aggressive after Mineral dashes if they really want to, especially now that Zaxi has hit level 2, but the problem is they haven't got their own purple buff, so they're fighting against a red buff and a purple buff Athena Hou-Yi combination.
Diesel and Mineral, though, don't really seem all that interested in... Nope, I take that back. Mineral wants to move it forward. I just don't think that Sanguine's duo is going to be able to close the gap in time. Rather just reestablish lane pressure over there in duo. So they're not going to waste their time looking to contest Classified on their own purple.
Oracles are up on the left side, but as we take a look at what's happening on the right side, this Guan Yu versus Baron Samedi matchup, we've seen some solo laners start the Guardian's Blessing, which is what Mando Warrior is electing to do, wanting to get some of that gold per 5, but by not last hitting some of these minions, it could give Young Lad a little boost in the early game.
The problem though for Young Lad is that he's having some struggles with controlling and mana usage. Been trying to spam that Tallow Assault for the wave clear, but Baron just...
Ooh, Pain, Devion in a lot of trouble. Sprint's not going to save you this time, as Diesel, the Hou-Yi of choice, is going to get that first blood.
Rather abrupt first blood at that, too. For a second there, I thought the Young Lad was going to be the one maybe trying to get an advantage there over Mando, but seems like all the action is still going to be taking place in that duo lane, Toli.
More than likely. I don't really see too much action in a solo lane matchup where both of them can heal the other, whether it's through Health Chalice, whether it's through Warrior's Blessing, or if they have an ability actually at their disposal. The only time we'll probably see any kills in the solo lane, honestly, is if these junglers start to make their presence felt.
Speaking of the junglers, I haven't really seen too much out of Yuji Vox just yet. Kind of expecting this Ratatoskr to have a slight edge over Maulus there with the Humbats early on. That Acorn Rush already in effect there for Yuji. Probably getting close as well to finishing off the last 900 gold needed to complete it.
So some junglers are probably exponentially better after level 5, and I feel like this is the case for both Mollusk and Yuji. Ratatoskr with Through the Cosmos, Mollusk on the Hunbats has Fear No Evil, so I don't necessarily fault or mind that they're just casually farming it out, waiting for those important ultimates.
I think that a Ratatoskr can play a little bit more aggressive than a Humbats early on, though, and that's one of the primary reasons. Sanguine already has pressure in duo, especially after that first blood. I would have liked to have seen Yuji go back over to duo, look to punish Pain the moment that he came back into the lane yet again, because the more that you can suppress Pain and Zaxi early on, the better off Sanguine are probably going to be.
Fair enough point there, with one death onto Pain thus far. Giving him a second one wouldn't hurt too bad, as Mollusk level 4. Looking for a rotation. He might hit level 5 off of a couple of minions here, considering Yuji has been level 5 for quite a while. Going to be able to clear the wave. Hits level 5, but no commitment quite yet between the two.
No reason to try and all in on a Guan Yu. Young Lad just a little bit too tanky and not really out of position in the slightest. Still has that Guan Yu ultimate available as well,
True.
which is the main deterrence factor for Mollusk.
So looking at the relic selection, though, with the teleport still not available for another full 2 minutes, even if you get him low enough and force him back, making him miss half a wave is the small little min-maxing thing you could do in the solo lane. It's not much, but Soul Lane is never pretty, honestly. You got to take what you can get.
I thought that was going to be the intention there from Mollusk to maybe try and work alongside of Mando Warrior, look for that blue buff invade. We saw him place an aggressive ward, but I think that might have just been to keep tabs more so than anything else.
Probably just to see if there's ever going to be a rotation from Yuji and allow some more freedom for Mando Warrior, because this global pressure from Yuji, we haven't seen it quite yet. But if it's ever going to come out, it wouldn't be a bad idea to even throw it onto Mando Warrior. But now that I see the Breastplate of Valor, that's going to be less enticing, I think, for Yuji.
Highly doubt that we see the Ratatosker anytime soon over there in solo lane. Outside of maybe leeching a couple of waves and clearing out some blue buffs, there's no real reason for Yuji to want to waste any time looking to bring down Mando Warrior when he has much easier targets to go for. And I think Grave is a primary example of the kind of target that we're waiting for Yuji to try and collapse.
That's true.
On.
Grave is known to play a little bit aggressive, but he's been farming a little bit better than Sheikah this time around. And we saw a little bit of poke earlier, about a minute ago, where Sheikah's Agni was starting to chunk against Grave, and that was with even one missed bomb. So as the game progresses, I think Grave might have to worry about some of his positioning if he's at least isolated.
Sheikah, though, the one that's going to eat a decent amount of damage off of that rock shot from Grave. Nice whoop to make sure that they can confirm the follow-up too. But that is something that I think Grave also needs to be mindful of, is when he chooses to use that banish. If he does it a little bit too aggressively without realize or having vision on the map anywhere, you never know if there might be a collapse following from Yuji and Mineral.
And you talk about vision. Look at all those blue wards around the Gold Fury. Top, bottom, even on the bottom left mid Harpies, to see if Mollusk is going to try to swindle a little gank from side to side. You could just feel the tension in the air, Taco, between these two teams battling their spot for the number 3.
Young Lad forced out of that Guan Yu ultimate, and I think this is also another reason why this matchup might be a little bit more ideal for Young Lad, because he doesn't have to worry about his survivability. He should be able to self-sustain this lane. Same can't be said for Pain Deviant, however.
Oh, through the Cosmos as well, knocking up Pain. Needs a little bit of follow-up, but Grave with a good peel in the whoop. Mollusk not wanting to counter-engage quite yet, but could definitely do so momentarily, but not until finally some of the rotations from Young Lad going to heal up Yuji.
Pain was rather deep by himself, and I just don't think that Sengun had enough knowledge to realize that Pain was there out of position on his own accord. I think we would have seen a much heavier commitment from Sengun had they felt more comfortable knowing that there wasn't anyone to respond.
It's possible with the rotation from Young Lad. Without the cavalry charge, a little tricky considering he's only level 9. Once these Soul Laners get a little higher level, I'm specifically looking at level 12, 3 items deep. That's when the team fights are going to be at full force, because right now the 1v1s haven't been doing much, but Pain Deviant yet again caught out. Round 2 goes the way of Sanguine.
And Sardio struggling a little bit here, more so than what I think Classified were expecting. Sheikah going to get banished in place there on the choke point. But that's just a reveal that there's clearly vision for Classified, so now Sengun might end up centering this.
Oh, nice little ricochet. It needs a couple more basic attacks. Will force out that mounted archery. Level 7 Zaxi about to get flanked on the backside by Yuji.
I don't think Yuji really cares about what's happening. There's the Sunbreaker raining down on top of Zaxi. One more auto will do it, but Diesel can't find the connection, so Yuji will just take him out with the Acorn Blast, and for good reason. Don't want to stick around for too long trying to punish this Hachi.
That's right. You got to respect the counter rotations. Very clean gank and very patient. They were like casually tanking the tower, which is uncommon for a hunter, but when your jungler's making a play like that, you got to respect the damage and just let it rip. Zaxi's been struggling this laning phase, it seems, and a lot of it has to come down to the fact that Pain Deviant is just not present for assistance.
But part of the bite back from Classified, Mineral looking to be the next target of focus here, debating dropping that Defender of Olympus, but it won't be necessary. Mando's life of the party does not bring in anybody of value for Classified to try and all in on. All they really wanted was the blue buff, and in the end, they've already sieged it. No real reason to stick around.
That's right. They're going to secure the blue buff here as we approach the 10-minute mark. Sanguine with 3 kills on the board. No real towers or objectives afterwards, but getting themselves a decent 1,000 gold lead. It's not much to really write home about, but it's a foundation to build the rest of the building.
Check out Grave, though. Might not realize that Sheikah's right behind Mineral, but It's Pain to Beyond with the Cripple Field that's going to end up cutting off Mineral's dash short. Mineral down to half health now. Grave getting some great poke.
Oh, Grave not going to commit to that ultimate quite yet. Bomb still raining in from Sheikah is just completely forcing the rest of Classified back. And now with Manda Warrior around the corner, he doesn't have his ultimate, but Grave certainly does.
Just not expecting the rotation from Manda Warrior. Beautiful peel from Manda Warrior, but it's not going to be enough to save the life of Grave. Pain to Beyond, however, going to get a return fire kill onto Yuji.
The heals is keeping Pain alive for so long. Classified are able to take out two, only sacrificing Grave. Zaxi yet again trying to retreat, has the mounted archer. He's taking so much unnecessary damage. He only has the tier 2 boots.
But look at Diesel. He's been slow. Doesn't realize that Mollis is right behind him. Purification beads are going to come out. He's trying to find a kill onto Mollis. He's going to land in place. Nearly has him, but the dive bomb, I wish he would have created some space for himself.
A little bit, but he wanted the damage from the dive bomb, it seemed. Unfortunately, he didn't mark out Mollusk. I believe he already marked out Zaxi instead, so he didn't have that knock up to easily set up the secondary basic attack. Very close attempt. Was definitely winning the 1v1 simply because Zaxi only had tier 2 boots. Meanwhile, Diesel was already sitting on the Ninja Tabi. Very easy to catch up to him, especially with a 2-level lead. But at the end of the day, Mollusk realizing he needs to assist his Hunter.
That pick, though, could end up having some steep repercussions here because Classified, they're going to find themselves coming up short with Pain to Beyond as he'll get picked off one more time by Yuji and Sheikah.
Oh my goodness, Pain already with 3 deaths in 12 minutes of action. And this is not a spot where most supports are tending to prefer to fight with Gauntlet of Thebes. That you need to be just kind of sitting in lane and stacking that up, because the difference between evolving that item versus not is just so much protection differential.
Just look at this brawl, though, between Mando Warrior and Young Lad. Mando arguably getting the better end of things as well, simply because of the Baron sustain. I also think that his rush of cooldowns over everything else, that 30% cooldown reduction in comparison to Young Lad's 10, it's just not enough for Young Lad to out-sustain the Baron.
And that's been the key between Guardians / Mages versus Warriors. The fact that those magical damage dealers can build Breastplate of Valor and still fight into the Warriors / Assassins of the world, whereas the Warriors can't afford to build Breastplate to get that cooldown reduction when you're dealing with a magical damage dealer. That's why Young Lad goes for the Gladiator Shield. A little bit of respect in the solo lane. Very uncommon to see that. Genji's Guard is the secondary choice for the cooldown reduction. I almost would have liked to see Young Lad get that item first, however, so that you can get the magical defense and the cooldown reduction.
That's kind of what I was gearing towards, Toli, is a little bit of magical protection in the early laning phases might not be the most necessary thing in the world, but when you're against a Baron and you know how much he's going to be able to sustain early on before you can get the anti-heal online, I think it's better safe than sorry more often than not. And of course, Young Lad didn't really suffer anything for it. Hasn't really been any ganks prioritized towards solo lane, but that's mostly a result of mid and duo being a little bit more aggressive early on, as opposed to Glad Shield Rush just being too much to handle.
Fair enough. Young Lad just going to poke out Manda Warrior. Nothing really to worry about for him as he has some self-sustain. But as we're approaching the 14-minute mark, Taco, Sanguine still doing a better job in the kill department, but what do they really need to do to stretch this lead?
Sanguine just need to be a lot more clean on their executions. I think that Diesel should also play a little bit more mindful of where everyone else is on the map. That last moment where he was pushing up on the Zaxi and ends up getting punished for it by Mollusk, I understand that it's easy to want to take up the boxing trades, especially the favorable ones. But if Diesel continues to get picked like that, it's going to permit Zaxi to catch up. He's already at level 12, and beforehand, Diesel was at least 1.5, if not 2 levels on Zaxi.
It felt like it was a false sense of security and falling into a very good sense of security. Sanguine, if they can get this Gold Fury classified. Pain is running as fast as his little bare feet could take him, but he just couldn't get there in time.
A freebie for Sanguine as well. Caught classified sleeping. It didn't have to expend anything outside of the Hou-Yi ultimate, and if a Sunbreaker is going to be enough to bring down the Gold Fury in a reasonable time period, I'm pretty sure Sanguine will make that trade every single time they can.
And despite that Gold Fury, Sanguine is barely up any gold. It's only 1,000 to really speak about, and this is just goes to show how even these teams are with their records, being at 4-2 each. The tension is still quite there. This game is going to really start popping off soon once the levels come through into the mid lane. Mollusk fearing no evil. Yuji in a lot of trouble. Grave taking him out. A beautiful double taunt from Minnow, but Sheikah without any more cooldowns.
Sheikah just didn't have any bombs available. A sprint will keep Mineral out of the cripple field, so he'll be able to dash away, but Younglad now being the primary target. He's trying to actually cavalry charge inwards. Grave gonna get stunned out, but that means Mandalorian can grab him the life of the party.
I don't know about that play, Younglad, as he goes back to the Grave. No rotation out of Diesel as Zaxi is trying to make his presence felt in the mid lane, now making it into the Pyromancer, and this is where Classified is going to start thriving. The late game damage from Grave, the control from Mollusk, Pain Beyond, and Manda Warrior trying to shut down Sheikah from stealing away this Pyromancer. Pain doing his best, zoning as the rest of his teammates clean up the objective.
Sheikah didn't realize that Mollusk was this close. Nice Agni bomb damage, though. Gonna make sure to put Mollusk too low to handle it, but Pain to Beyond with a Mez now. Diesel could dash forward, but we're not going to see the dive bomb this soon.
No stuns either whatsoever. Mounted Archer going to slow out Sheikah. He didn't have his dash. Up and down goes Yuji. Grave takes out Sheikah from earlier, but there's no return kills. The dash from Yuji trying to take out Grave, but just not enough DPS.
Everyone is so incredibly low from Classified, but Diesel's just not going to be able to find any last hits. Yuji still hovering around the corner now. He's got the ultimate coming in from Mineral. Defender of Olympus is getting some nice damage on the Mando Warrior, but it just isn't enough.
Oh my goodness, what a play from Mando Warrior, bringing the Athena back into the belly of the beast. Graves, Valkyrie's discretion is back off of cooldown. That's how long this team fight has been. Grave with a nice double kill.
But how many times are Sengwin going to have to die diving the T1 tower before they realize there's no reason to continue to stick around here? They dropped the ball on picking up those kills in mid lane because they kept getting stagger picked by Classified. And one by one, Sengwin just continued to funnel into the clutches of Classified.
I was going to ask you, Taco, because you mentioned how low everyone from Classified was. So what was Sengwin supposed to do besides tower dive?
You reset and you look to push down the T1 tower. You don't have to dive it, but you can look to apply pressure still without throwing yourself into an unnecessary position. Even then, they could have even looked to just push down the T1 tower in dual lane. That's already half health taken. Not really a tower that Classified would feel.
Sheikah, no beats and no life whatsoever. And as a result now, it's Classified with 9 kills on the board. And I just don't think that Sengwin really respecting Mando Warrior's Baron Samedi now. The cooldown reduction is just so high with that 30% to be able to spam his abilities. The utility from Gem of Isolation now even keeping everybody in place. Sengwin has got a little bit of a hill to climb from here on out.
But just look at Graves' scoreline now. This Freya went from 0-1 and 2, essentially, to a 5-1 and 2 advantage over Sheikah, and 3 levels now over Sheikah as well. So this Agni damage that I think was very promising initially, not so much anymore, because just look at the burst damage from Grave.
Oh my goodness, Younglad forced to jump away. Currently, Mollusk not able to really get the monkey bounces to chase him through the horse, but getting a tier 1 tower, 500 gold, and the coppers for Classified. I start thinking about maybe going for another pick onto Yuji. Meanwhile, the other teammates barreling down the mid lane.
Love this from Classified as well. They know the Diesel's over there in duo lane by himself, just trying to split push. And Younglad, he's going to get dove for free, essentially. Classified not looking to slow down by any means either. Yuji bots, if he sticks around, is going to end up getting picked off too.
He's dead for sure. Here comes Sheikah trying to find some return fire, but Manda Warrior still tanking the tier 2 tower. Sheikah could be in a little bit of trouble, forced to go in the Aegis to avoid the Valkyrie's discretion. But look at this, he's still diving. Grave is a madman. He finds the solo kill.
That's why Sheikah used the Aegis. He knew if he took too much damage, it would be the end of him. Nice Aegis from Diesel as well to avoid the overhand smash of finishing him off. But Mollusk has to be careful here and watch his spacing.
Lifesteal, dive bomb. Where are you going to go, Diesel? Saxy's on your tail, but Middle right on the corner. This could be a turnaround play, Taco, if Middle can find a double dash.
You'll be able to find Zaxi, that's for sure. And Diesel with some quick enhance to follow it up is going to be able to eliminate the Hachiman. But all the while, Classified there on this Fire Giant. It looks like Graves got the DPS to burn it.
You don't have your physical hunter for Zaxi, but you got your magical damage out of Grave, able to really melt this objective. No one from Sengwin even interested in this one because They won the team fight on the left and going to secure the Gold Fury in response.
Gold Fury is going to go a long ways here, though, for Sanguine. They might not have the Fire Giant, but it is still fairly early on. Classified might not be able to utilize this Fire Giant as efficiently, considering that the only members from Sanguine who are really behind in their respective roles, it's mostly just a disparity between the mid laners.
That's
and
true.
a little bit in the jungle, but Yuji's still going to have a lot of setup potential provided from that through the Cosmos, even the Acorn Blast as well. I also don't feel like Yuji is meant to be the star of this show in the slightest. This is all about Sheikah and Diesel for their follow-up damage, and Diesel's got a 3-level advantage over Zaxi.
It just felt like Yuji never made his early game presence, like you alluded to start off the game, whether it was before level 5 or even afterwards. There was no real ganks onto Mando Warrior before Breastplate of Valor. There was no real ganks onto Pain to Beyond after that first blood in the beginning of the game. And as a result, Grave and Mollusk, it was just their show to really run.
Mollusk just permitted, by the way, to stay relevant because of the lack of pressure Yuji was bringing. It's a little uncharacteristic to see a Ratatosker play so passive.
Fair enough. The rest of Classified still grouping up as a 5-man unit. Mando Warrior has some sustain going. Dashing defensively is Mineral. Tier 2 tower being looked at. Sanguine posturing as if they're going to defend this one, but I don't know for how long.
Nice taunt in from Mineral. Mineral's already taken way too much damage. Grave's going to make quick work of him, but now Grave could end up falling in return.
No, he's not, because he goes up in the sky. Yushi's going to look to dive in the back line. Gets the shutdown right onto the Freya. Zaxi mounting the archery. Mollusk takes out Sheikah. Pain takes out Younglad. Yuji going to fall momentarily after that Aegis. No, he dashes away, but Pain is not done. Diving the Phoenix as Mando Warrior takes out Diesel.
And worse comes, it only keeps getting worse because Classified have that full creep wave. They're going to be able to take this middle Phoenix in no time at all. And Yuji's the only one still alive.
Is this an end, Taco? Can Classified close this one out at 22 minutes? Only Yuji to play defense. Titan, 75% health. Yuji with the flank, trying to buy whatever time he can, but it doesn't look like it's enough, Taco.
Zaxi's still alive, though, in full health. He's going to dash forward with the Aijitsu, get a nice 2-man stun, and that's going to give him some time to get some good poke here against the Titan. Doesn't look like Mando Warrior is going to be able to close it out.
They can't do it. It was one more basic attack. Classified dropped the ball. Sanguine are still in it to win it.
This Titan is too low, Toli. There's very little of me that believes that Classified won't just 5-man group up the moment that they all respawn and look to just barrel on down the mid lane. They might not even need creep waves at this point. All they have to do is get inside of the fountain area, and they can close this one out.
So what you're saying is they have to force the issue.
That's not what I'm saying at all, no.
That's what I'm going to take.
There's no issue when the Titan
Sanguine
is that
forcing the issue down the tier 1 middle tower. Going to take out Grave. Going to delay that 5-man grouping that you were talking about. Getting 500 gold now to Sanguine. And keeping the fire minions away from the Titan room.
Unfortunate timing there for Classified. Grave should have been a little bit more mindful. There's no reason to sacrifice yourself for a T1 tower, 23 minutes and climbing into a match. It's just irrelevant at this point. 500 gold is not worth your life.
Totally agree here, Taco. Zaxi, Pain to Beyond, and Mollusk looking how they could defend this 3-man grouping. Blink play out of Mollusk. Caught between a rock and a hard place is Younglad, but receives the Defender of Olympus in the back line. Goes Yuji, knocking up Mollusk, but no real follow-up after that. Tier 2 tower siege could come back to haunt Sanguine because Mando Warrior is trying to make something happen if he can find one more slow. There he goes onto Mineral. Still chasing him down. A little bit of a taunt onto Mando Warrior, but he's very tanky.
Mando, though, not looking so tanky anymore. Toli, he's already down 10% health. Younglad's cavalry charge going to end up wiping him out. And now it's Sanguine with the power play motive. They might just keep pushing forward.
Back and forth and back goes Mollusk trying to retreat. Great taunt out of Mineral, being able to get Mollusk back into it. He teleports back in. Mollusk was totally out, but he goes back in. But the rest of Classified are going to barrel down the mid lane as Grave goes down to Diesel for another double kill. He's not done yet. Goes in for the dive bomb. Mineral with another taunt, giving Diesel the triple kill. Get yourself the quadra kill. It's yours for the taking.
Diesel just needs one more in-hand to find it, and the quadra kill is going to be all Sanguine here. Threw out some great teamwork between Diesel and Sheikah. That's the turnaround that was absolute nightmare for Classified because everybody is dead this time.
Everyone from Classified was like lambs to the slaughter. For no reason was Grave under that Tier 1 tower. For no reason was Miles trying to force a defense under the Tier 2 tower. And now it's going to be Sanguine going for the end against Mandalore. I don't think they're too healthy for this one, Taco.
Not healthy enough to tackle this Baron. One life of the party is all it would take. The only member with actives from Sanguine in that. Well, actually, Yuji still had his relics available too. All three of their carries did have Aegis, but it was still just a little bit too risky.
3 towers remaining, Taco. That Titan is not at its most vulnerable form, and that's exactly why Classified weren't able to take out the Titan from Sanguine, because there were 2 towers on the left, 2 Phoenixes still remaining, and that just increased the numbers out of the Titan, the health, the protections, the damage. Every little factor like that has to be calculated before going for the last stop.
But now Sanguine, their middle Phoenix is going to respawn, which means Titan that was sitting at 500 health or so, I'm not even sure, it was just incredibly low. It's going to have a chance to heal now.
Oh, trying to get the chance for the Fire Giant is Classified. Get it very cleanly. Up in the sky goes Yuji. Forces out the ultimate out of Grave. Young lad in the thick of things as Manda Warrior gets taken out first.
This is a moment for Sanguine. They can choose to just keep chasing down Classified, but a nice banish there from Graves going to buy them a little bit more time. Flurry of Acorns and the Acorn Blast.
Mineral with a double taunt. Grave gets put back into the grave. Pain to Beyond now is going to be the focus. Sanguine, they don't need the Fire Giant if they're going to get picks like this.
Yuji still looking to chase down Pain to Beyond. Flurry of Acorns going to help with the slows and a shell, a nicely timed shell at that. It's going to buy Pain to Beyond a couple more seconds here.
Oh, Mineral's not done yet. There goes the Pain goes down, and Sanguine 5-on-2 are going to get themselves the victory, Taco.
Might not be just yet, Tolly. Zaxi still giving up hope, but it's not enough. Sanguine, just like that, go from nearly losing their Titan to taking out Classified in a matter of minutes.
Talk about a close match. Talk about a close score between these two teams. Both coming into this set at 4-2 apiece. Now after the win, Sanguine boosting their numbers to 5-2, whereas the rest of Classified is going to have to go down to 4-3. That could be the difference maker between securing themselves into placements.
It was just careless from... I just don't really understand Classified. It started out with Grave underneath that T1 tower. For some reason, he was really adamant about trying to defend a 500 gold tower that in the mid-game period where it really doesn't matter anymore. And not only that, though, knowing that Grave was dead for another minute or so, Classified then choose to try and take up an engagement against Sanguine with their T1 tower not even being available.
Madness.
No T2 assistance either. It was way past or well past where their T1 tower line originally stood. And that just made it all too easy for Sanguine to immediately 180 the game.
Just pure madness. The late game crowd control finally showing into its effect, whether it was Mineral on the Athena, whether it was Sheikah on the Agni, Yuji on the Ratatasker. Who at home do you guys think deserves that MVP? Because honestly, they all played fantastic in the late game with their crowd control.
Sanguine did a great job capitalizing off of Classified's mistakes, but that game probably should have been Classified's to bring home. And all I can really say in the end there is that Sanguine, great job for the punish.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Well, that was going to be your set number 2 for the day, but we're going to have some more sets as well. It's going to be the next one is Armada up against Sanguine as we already head into the draft instantly. And this is going to be a little bit of a different story now because Sanguine, after this victory, is going to be closer to Armada that's sitting at that 5-3 record.
But that victory is a little unsettling there. It was mostly Sanguine recognizing the misplays off of Classified and then punishing them for it after the fact. And Armada, a little bit of a different story here. I don't think that we'll see anything as reckless as what we witnessed from Classified. This team tends to be a little bit more refined in their actions.
Oh, we'll see. So far, Athena and Geb are the ban selections, not allowing the comfort picks from Mineral. We saw what he was able to do with the Athena in the late game. Not wanting to have any of those double taunts is Armada.
Same thing for Sanguine, however. They don't want to deal with Chernobog or the Pele. Just way too much mobility and rotational capabilities from both of those gods. So Sanguine, rather take their chances with Coat Baby on that Circuit.
No surprises here. It's a jungler-driven league, so Circuit slash Hunbats apparently is the #1 / go-to. Surprised to see that, considering Ratatasker was still available.
I actually really like seeing the Hunbats here in response to the Circuit, because fear no evil, whoever Circuit tries to commit to with that last breath, her teammates might not be able to get into the vicinity for the follow-up when that Fear No Evil comes out at the same time. And Circuit could also potentially end up getting caught in the chaos, and that could lead to a kill.
But do you need to pick the Hunbats there with those? You're not expecting Circuit and Hunbats. Surely you could have picked potentially Freya or Baron Samedi, but neither of those are going to be the selections out of Armada. Instead, going for the Morgan and Terra.
You have to remember, in the minor league, things run a little bit differently than the SPL, totally. These players have their God choice preferences, without a doubt. Armada are probably going to be happy to see that they'll be able to swipe up that Terra and Morgan, but so far, I am a little bit concerned about the lack of early game presence from Armada. I would like to see a little bit of an aggressive solo laner coming through, possibly even a more aggressive hunter, for sure.
Maybe an Execute. How about a Thanatos solo lane? You want aggression, Taco? Let's go with Thanatos solo lane.
Thanatos solo lane might be a little bit too risky for me. I don't know about Armada. Of course, this is all up to their player preference in the end, but an Execute could be strong against the Kefri, and so I don't think it's entirely out of the question here, totally, but I do love what Sanguine have chosen to do. Not only did they take the honor, so that is very obviously stating we're looking to box, but they also eliminated the Medusa and Izanami. Izanami, because she gets so much wave pressure early on her, wouldn't really be permitted to play up against Armada's duo if she was there. And the Medusa, because Medusa has a lot of poke potential from outside of a boxing range, because the acid spray having that area of the cone afterwards that can land onto the
Well, you're talking about not dealing with pressure. Amaterasu providing a lot of pressure alongside the Ram for those astral arrows, but if Diesel can at least get some of those pot shots going, he can definitely get benefit from that Discordia passive.
Curious to see, though, whether this is going to be an Amaterasu in the support role or solo. Currently, I think it's a little bit ambiguous from Armada here, because those two gods are fairly interchangeable between Terra and the Amaterasu. I think for this particular circumstance, probably would be a little bit more favorable to see the Terra with that rump, simply because I don't think that Terra is going to have a very good laning matchup against the Bologna.
Well, the thing is, neither of them are going to have a favorable matchup. Even though Amaterasu can cancel out the bludgeon, you could still hold on to the hammer, but at the end of the day, Bra will be playing the Amaterasu. I thought it would be like a Terra soul lane with Guardian's Blessing, and then, you know, you stick the soul laner in the oven so that when it's ready, after 20 minutes, it's one of the highest levels in the game. And I'd rather have a higher level Terra in some team fights than Amaterasu.
I think the concern for not having the Terra in the solo lane is because maybe Armada felt like Young Lad would get too much pressure in terms of frequently invading against the likes of Armada, because Bra and Coat Baby can probably make it work to defend the blue buff. I'm still expecting Yuji and Young Lad to get a little bit more feisty there in solo.
Speaking about feisty in the dual lane, Mineral just taking a whole bunch of pot shots, utilizing that Kepri passive to give himself and Diesel some more protections. But the rest of Sybil and Benny Q is still on the charge side. Good double stun. It's even going to force out the beats out of Diesel. Sybil trying to do his best blocking impression, but man, talk about lane pressure.
Well, Benny Q still, or I don't think he has any Astral Arrows remaining. I like this move, though, from Mineral and Diesel. They recognize that they missed out on that level 1 clear, so better to just take their chances trying to secure their purple buff, but instead, it's going to be a nice steal from Sybil.
Oh, that's got to be the worst feeling in the world if you're on the side of Sanguine. You lose lane pressure, you lose your own purple buff, you're going to lose this next lane pressure. The only thing you have going for you is that you can't lose your red buff because it's already taken and gone to Sheikah.
Well, Sanguine's duo could possibly look to contest when Armada tries to go for their own purple buff, but it would be fairly risky considering that by the time they end up clearing this wave, Sybil and Benny Q should already be way ahead of them in terms of clear.
Way ahead if clear is Young Lad bullying Bra, and that's just generally what a Bologna does. You don't need to get the slam hit of the bludgeon. You're just able to bully Bra out. Does have a little bit of self-sustain between stance switching the passive, but when you have more lane pressure in the solo lane, well, that's where invading blue buff comes into play, and I think Young Lad has a good opportunity to do so within the next 30 seconds.
And Bruh is already expecting that to be the case here.
Like, look at that poke.
Trying to do his best to take as little damage as possible, but with Young Lad playing this far up on his tower line, there's really not much of a choice here for Bruh other than to just take the beating.
That's true. Cope Baby is going to back now for a speed buff, as is Yuji. Round number 2 of these buffs respawning, and this is where both solo laners are going to have to keep in mind that as speed buff comes up, junglers will be on that side of the map. Sybil just kind of poking out Diesel and Mineral, trying to get as many potions off of their side as early as possible.
This is where experience can really come into play, I think, because our Sanguine understand that their only real winning lane matchup is going to be Young Lad on the Bologna. Excuse me, Armada understand that their only real winning lane matchup isn't going to be in the solo lane because they know that Young Lad's on the Bologna. It's the same for their other side lane in duo. So they are just trying to levy all their pressure from this duo side of the map and just leave solo as alone as possible, except Bruh. You kind of just cut your losses with Bruh in the solo
As
lane.
long as you don't lose your blue buff and Young Lad doesn't get too far ahead, you're going to be sitting pretty. Bruh hits level 5 now. His teleport's still available for whenever he wants to back in. As long as we were mentioning that Young Lad doesn't steal away the blue buffs, Bruh shouldn't be too far behind. He's going to lose some gold under the tower, but that's to be expected against most matchups because of how much of a bully Bologna tends to be.
And for the first rotation, a lot of times the junglers are able to help out for the first respawn of that blue buff. It's the second, third, and all the ones following that I think it becomes a little bit more problematic and a lot more obvious as to which solo laner is clearly dictating the pace of the matchup.
And now finishing off Berserker Shield is Young Lad. If you thought he wasn't sustaining enough, let's get some more former Season 3 and 4 Deathstone proc hits to go. Bruh going to be able to clear the wave now if he keeps dashing through the wave, but then this is the issue. He goes for the lane clear and receives a little bit of poke.
Young Lad trying to use that shield bash to get a little bit of damage against those archer creeps.
Oh, Cope able to jump away there before actually happened to beat and jump away as Yuji wanted to force something in the jungle.
Sounded like we came in at the tail end of that Fear No Evil from Yuji, and Sops in response also utilized that Changeling ultimate to try and save the life of his jungler just in case it was needed.
Well, you might as well use the Fear No Evil on the mini wave if you can't use it on an enemy god. As the rest of Armada figuring out the right way to go about it, gonna force out the Eagles rally from the dazzling offensive. Young Lad didn't really have vision of where Cope was and was fearful for the last breath follow-up.
And that's why I love the bait from Bruh to go into the dazzling offense, alluding to a gank coming into place because there's no real reason for Young Lad to Eagles rally away from Bruh.
Oh, Benny Q is gonna get popped like a weasel. Diesel doing so much damage there after the Impale Desert Fury combination. Sybil was trying to look for the flank, but it just took a little bit too long, and not being in position to Earth and Fury or Shell, that was going to be quick first blood.
Cope Baby, though, going to end up getting slowed from that leap over the wall by Yuji. It was such a nice play initially from Armada to go for that blue buff invade, but getting caught out by Yuji and Young Lad at the same time was too much for Cope Baby. Good
stun from Sops and follow-up poke damage. And this is the difference between these teams. It just seems the respect that they give for one another, where Young Lad, despite having a lane advantage, didn't look for the blue buff invade. And as soon as Bruh has lane advantage, he was put into a false sense of security, thinking that he could do the blue buff. Great rotation from Cope Baby, making sure Bruh is going to be in a good spot.
It's not over just yet either. Sops will be forced out of this purification beads as well. Sybil drops the Earth and Fury, but there's no follow-up for it. Sops already expended everything just trying to run away here.
A little bit of healing in response. Cope going to take away one of those mid-harpies. No real mana for Yuji to do anything with, and that's why Cope is on the chase, trying to see where Yuji's going to not allow those back camps to go to the Hunbats.
I like this from Cope, too. Bruh trying to help assist wherever he can, but Bruh might have bit off a little bit more than he can chew here. All of Sanguine is looking to collapse.
I mean, they're here, but what can they really do about it? However, Sybil is going to double dash away. Sops eats the apple instead for Sybil. Somebody's got to stay healthy and get their vitamins.
I couldn't tell if that apple was about to bounce off the wall for a second. Might have even had a chance to connect to Sybil if Sops hadn't absorbed the blow. And Armada considering that that looked a lot more dangerous than what it ended up being, should be counting their lucky stars if you ask me.
I think so. But it was a good calculation. Cope recognized Yuji had no mana, and as a Hunbats that's sitting at level 7, not even a Hydra's Lament. That's like not even a Hunbats. Ooh, Young Lad intercepting that one. No mana for Broad to be able to get out of this one. The bludgeon confirms the kill before the Cobra's Kiss. Last breath should be the last breath for Young Lad. A good return kill for Cope.
Speed buff would have eventually led to the kill anyway there, but Young Lad was trying to buy himself a little bit of time for that poison effect to wear off. Nice job though, but Diesel hoping to catch out BennyQ here.
All 3 Rom snipes connecting as Diesel just casually walks away knowing Sybil is right around the corner. Mineral making his rotation as well. Man, Cope almost saved the life of Bra. He had the Cobra's Kiss just firing during the bludgeon. If he was there maybe half a second earlier, he would have been in range to save his solo laner's life.
Well, I thought that the Cobra's Kiss actually just missed.
Oh, I thought he wasn't in range. But either way, that was spicy out of Young Lad committing to the tower dive. Either way.
I think if you're going to go down in a 1-for-1 exchange, you may as well commit to the kill. Young Lad probably spotted out Cope right towards the very end after he'd already utilized the Eagles rally, but you just got to go all in here.
Oh, Sheikah's going to get all in as Sybil confirms the kill. Good setup out of Sops. It's so difficult playing against the Morgan when you don't have the proper vision to spot out those rotations. One okie doke stun into the Dark Omen eliminates your health pool when you don't go any sort of health from Warlock staff.
There wasn't even any vision on Sheikah in that spot. It just so happened that Armada had 3 members prepared to try and take down the Zoracle. So when Sheikah wandered over there, seeing if there was a chance for him to secure them, ends up just getting picked right off.
It's like Sheikah wanted to go to this party that he was clearly not invited to for a reason. It's like, Sheikah, my guy.
Is that when you bring your little brother to the party?
Yeah, pretty much. It's like, this is why we don't invite you to things. You bring your little brother, you make things really awkward for everyone here.
He'll be okay, though.
He'll be all right.
Maybe he'll be the star of the show later on. We'll have to wait and see here.
Maybe he's a good singer, and then once the karaoke comes out, like, he's the MVP.
I don't know about all that now, but what I do know is Young Lad trying to chase down Cope Baby inside of the jungle.
As he always does, it seems. Cope Baby chasing Yuji, Yuji chasing Cope. It's a jungler's kind of little war mini-game that they do with one another.
Just look at that attack speed, though, for Young Lad. Even going for the Ninja Tab-By to complement this Berserker shield quite nicely. And I almost want to see Young Lad go for the Frostbound Hammer. Almost.
That's like a Season 2 Bologna-style build.
It's really
Pretty
aggressive, but probably not going to be the case here for Young Lad. Things can get a little bit crazy in the minor league, though.
Oh, I agree with you. I remember, what was it? The minor league for Europe? Who was it that was playing Bologna that would go like Executioner all the time? Was it actually Deathwalker back in the day?
I don't think that was the case.
I forget. It was some European guy. BennyQ goes down to Diesel, and this is why Honor just continuously dominates against Roms.
Beautiful job there by Diesel. Just gets the pounce in over BennyQ. Benny went into the rollout, but it was caught out, intercepted by that knockup from Diesel. That set up the way for the impale shortly after. And BennyQ also panic beadsing in the process to try and avoid a stun. It was just too little too late, though, by the time he started channeling that Astral Barrage. Great job there from Diesel to just punish that Rom. Extending
the separation of Devil Glove stacks could be the key to allowing Sanguine to even get the first Gold Fury of the game as we're approaching the 11-minute mark. 2 to 4 are in the kill departments. Keep in mind that after Sanguine found their earlier victory up against Classified, they moved up to that 5-2 position, whereas Armada are still sitting at 5-3. So just as important the last game was, Taco, this one is even more important to see if Sanguine can climb up to the number 2 spot.
And that's what they're aiming towards, Totally, that's for sure. But Armada not making it all that easy for them. Although I do think that we need to see BennyQ playing a little bit more reserved here into this matchup. This isn't the most favorable Rom matchup early on against the Honor, at least not for the laning phase. Honor is best for that early and mid-game pressure, and BennyQ really starting to experience it now after the second death.
So Armada banned away Athena and Geb in the first two to take it away from Mineral, but maybe I'm just thinking maybe they should have thought about the on her for Diesel, especially if they were thinking about giving Benny Q the ROM.
In the long run, I don't see it being as problematic. It's much easier, I think, to focus out and kill an on her than what it would be to take down an Athena or a Get. But plus, not to mention that Cataclysm and Defender of Olympus are most certainly going to be a little bit more valuable in team fights in comparison to a Desert Fury.
This game is just so even despite the 2 kills for Sanguine. Diesel could have bit off more than he could shoot. Good stun out of Diesel. Will force out his ultimate. Rooted in place. Here come the snipes. Second one will confirm it, getting revenge.
That's all that Benny Q was waiting for, was that rotation. It was only a matter of time before Armada decided to pay their a little bit of love in towards their Hunter, because Diesel was extremely far up on Benny Q.
Bra is here, as is Young Lad. Gold Fury being pulled from Armada. Bra gonna still zone for as long as possible, taking a little bit of poke. Stun onto Young Lad. This Gold Fury is a little bit low. Sops is going to actually transform into the Hun Bats. Bra is going to eat an apple for his trouble, spreading it to Sybil. Meanwhile, on the backhand side, Cope is just still on zoning. Sops looking for the stun, gets it onto Young Lad as he's the first victim.
Everybody from Sanguine was so preoccupied by the fact that Bro was chasing them all outwards that they didn't realize they had their own solo laner trying to lock everybody else down from Armada. Now Mineral's going to have to use that Scare's Blessing on himself and scurry away. But a nice impale from Diesel. Not going to manage to put Sybil against the pillar just yet, but he is too low to continue the engage.
That's right. That Terra passive prevents knock-ups, knock-backs, as long as you have a stone up and available, or at least previously up and available for the past couple of seconds. Very uncommon to see that work for you, but over there, just keeping himself for an extra second. So not getting the Gold Fury, but finding another kill, shuts down some of the farming potential out of Young Lad and gets Bra in more of this late-game Amaterasu form.
That just felt so awkward from Sanguine, though. I think there should have been a much heavier punish against Armada, because Armada had 2 members still on that Gold Fury, bringing it down to right around 30% health before they decided to leash it. And Sanguine hesitated, it felt like, before choosing to all in, and then by the time they did all in, there seemed to be some miscommunication because Young Lad was way further up.
Cope is going to be able to jump over that nonsense. Mineral misses his abduct, as does the Golden Apple of Discordia out of Shaken. With those 2 cooldowns, Armada feeling a little bit frisky around the Oracles, granting themselves vision for an extra minute. Sops going to force out the jump. Diesel over the red buff. There goes the defensive ultimate. Hold that thought, making it offensive. Cope gets eliminated.
Mineral's going to follow shortly after, though, courtesy of Benny Q. And now Benny Q actually rolling forward to find Diesel in the fray of everything. Braun will get him at the last second there before Benny Q has a chance to scoop him right on up. But Armada, with a 2-for-1 exchange, they're more than confident in pulling this Gold Fury.
Oh, absolutely, especially when they know they don't have to worry about a Kepri and an honor in a 4-on-3. Benny Q is able to DPS this down. Sop's going to stun out Young Lad. Eagles rally, steals it away. Sanguine are walking away like bandits.
Yuji's going to find one onto Sybil, but Sops makes sure to return the favor onto Sheikah. Now it's Sops actually killing himself because he can't run away from Yuji.
They're not done yet. The bludgeon going to force out the Aegis from Benny Q, taking pot shots at both of these characters. Young Lad and Yuji, the double Ys, making a Y away from the Gold Fury. And just like that, the graphs dipping back into Sanguine's favor after the Gold Fury steal. Impressive performance from Young Lad.
Even if you factor in the fact that Sanguine lost Mineral and Diesel, that's still technically a 3-for-2 exchange on top of Sanguine confirming the Gold Fury. Armada might need to be a little bit more careful about zoning out their corners.
It feels that way. They're losing a lot of DPS by doing so, because normally you don't have a Morrigan to be able to zone it away. You normally have your Soul Laner and / or Guardian in that case. But then also you kind of need somebody to tank the Gold Fury. And honestly, if I'm Benny Q, I could tank that Gold Fury myself all day with all that attack speed, fully stacked up Devil Gloves. This is where Rom shines, to be able to tank the Gold Fury while the rest of your team zones.
Normally, but Armada just getting caught off guard there. Don't think that they were expecting Yuji to come in so unabashedly, just charges right on in there without any second thought.
Charging right in onto Sheikah. Cope going to force out the beats. from Sheikah. So he'll have a nice little pretty 155-second timer to abuse that one yet again. Cope even juking and weaving away from Diesel and Mineral shenanigans. Going for the Relic Dagger even. Cope's going to have more blinks up often.
Seems to be the game plan here for Cope, but also, I think that the 10% CDR can be quite nice as well.
That's
just
true.
builds into Cirquette because she can struggle a little bit with her cooldowns. BennyQ could be in a little bit of trouble here, but it's Diesel who actually didn't realize he's getting ganked yet again.
Uh-oh, just needs the last breath. It's going to allow 2 of the shots to confirm. One more basic attack should do it, but the Archers assisting in the matter. Cope really punishing Diesel. Whether Diesel's at the enemy tier 1, whether he's at his own tier 1, he is not having a good mid-game.
He needs to be just more attentive towards his map awareness.
That's true.
all it boils down to, is Diesel kind of playing into the hand of BennyQ. BennyQ is positioning like someone who has a gank coming.
That's true. There's no vision on the side of Sanguine to identify where Cope is coming from, whether there's calls or no calls. If you're not going to have that defensive vision, Cope is just going to run wild on you.
And that's the thing, too, because Diesel plays team fights so excellently. Hold that thought, though, because Yuji now trying to see if he can get a return fire kill onto BennyQ. But without much assistance here and a full creep wave to try and handle, this could just be BennyQ walking away with 2 for nothing.
Oh, BennyQ just able to take out Yuji Box in a little bit of 1v1 fight with some minions to assist the matter. Cope going to disrupt that bludgeon as Young Lad still feeling very frisky. It's not going to be the Frostmountain Hammer, Taco. It's going to be the Gladiator Shield Mystical Mail combo. But where is this magical defense? Because Sops is going to start chunking.
But Sops hasn't really had a chance to pay much attention towards that solo lane. And speaking of which, Sheikah wishes that Armada would stop paying attention to him in the mid lane. But didn't have those purification beads. They're still on cooldown for when Cope Baby last forced them out on a gank attempt. And Sheikah, despite trying to play as safe as possible, Armada are just pressuring him away from it.
Armada doing a good job holding hands throughout the jungle, finding the little holes that they can exploit. Cope knows that there's no beats for Diesel, gets the basic attack off, jumps over the Desert Fury, buying time for his Death Bane, and there goes the snipes yet again. BennyQ taking advantage of Diesel.
BennyQ doesn't have to be in the lane directly in order to help assist on a kill. And Diesel one more time gonna end up falling, but these deaths are happening too quickly, Tolly. Back to back to back, and Diesel, that massive lead that he was starting to build into is now all but gone. In fact, it is incredibly gone against BennyQ.
There's still no real vision defensively. They have it on the top side of where the Gold Fury is, but they don't have it around the enemy's purple-red buff. This is where you're going to need to see Mineral starting to path his way to assist in the matters, because if you don't have Scare's Blessing, well, you're not going to have a Hunter standing alive for much longer. Sheikah yet again dove under his own tier 1 tower. Meanwhile, BennyQ could be in a little bit of trouble this time around. Eagles rally over the top, trying to run away. Thorns being popped as well. Yuji on the chase. Tier 1 tower, doesn't even matter. Blink gonna confirm the kill.
Such a heavy commitment from Sanguine. Armada looking to do what they can for a turnaround. Cope Baby has finally appeared, and a nice Scare's Blessing's gonna keep Young Lad alive for just moments longer, but the tower hasn't brought him down yet.
Oh, the tower didn't do the trick, Taco, and the rest of Sanguine are forced to retreat. Diesel trying to make his way downtown. He's walking fast, but nothing is going to help him get homebound.
I see what you did there.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Anyway, bruh, I like the idea there for trying to harass Mineral just a little bit longer in the left-hand lane. Sops and BennyQ, though, they tried to get out as quickly as possible. BennyQ, without that Astral Barrage, just unable to buy Armada enough time to rotate over. He knew the risk he was taking by choosing to commit to that T1 tower. He was aware that Sanguine were starting to rotate over, or at least I'm fairly confident that Armada would have been telegraphing that to him right away. But this is a prime opportunity now for Sanguine to get yet another Gold Fury, and it doesn't seem like anyone from Armada is going to be anywhere near to try and contest this. So that is essentially the freest Gold Fury you could imagine.
That's true. It was a 4-on-4 considering Sops was just reviving, as was Young Lad. And I don't know, I think Armada could have done something about it, especially when you still have the snipes from BennyQ. Earth and Fury could have made its impact in some of these team fights. And speaking of team fights, that last one would have went even more in the favor of Sanguine if the revive happen onto Younglad from the tier 1 tower, just not having the aggro the way that he needed to. A little too much physical defense coming back to hurt him.
He did stay alive for a lot longer than what I was expecting him to. With 10% health, normally you'd imagine a Bologna to just die right away, but Younglad did everything in his power to buy time for Diesel to start rotating back down, and that's why Armada were forced to back away. Forced to back away from their own tier 1 tower. Mineral didn't get that memo. He's taking a couple of pot shots from BennyQ. There goes the Earth and Fury. Defensive ultimate over the top from Yuji as Sheikah yet again falls victim. Oh, the poison's going to end up spreading, though, now onto Mineral. That's what they were waiting for. They knew that Sheikah was going to end up dying, and they wanted him to because they had that blast breath effect on him.
Oh, Younglad, you are not in the right neighborhood. Eagles rally right on top of 4 members. Bludgeon on top of Sybil. He's forced to retreat under his own Phoenix. Tier 2 tower being looked at. Armada getting 1,500 gold in their pockets. They're not done yet, Taco. They're going for the Firebird.
There isn't a wave just yet. Now they're going to have a wave for assistance, and Younglad, Scourge as he might try, won't be able to prevent this Phoenix from falling. And it was just one after the other from Sanguine. Armada just smothering Sanguine with damage.
Cope. It was Cope's poison that really was the MVP of that last team fight, being able to spread so freely and loosely. Sitting at 4-2-7 in this game, Cope has been able to really transition his early game lead to forcing out some beats, really shutting down Diesel, and because of the shutdown of Diesel, this allows BennyQ the late game presence that ROMs are known to be expected of.
And I'm not going to lie, Toli, I don't think that we should be looking at a circumstance like this from Diesel. He plays so well around the rest of his team, and speaking of Younglad.
Is this a kill? This could be a kill. Younglad trying to survive with the Eagles rally, but a good ultimate from Yuji is going to prevent any sort of chase down.
I wanted to say that I just felt like Diesel was playing really well around the rest of his team, but seemed to really be struggling on an individual level. It's just every single time he was left alone with BennyQ, BennyQ would just bait Diesel into taking up a boxing trade, despite Diesel getting ganked, I would say 2, 3, 4 times after looking to challenge BennyQ.
It might be a lack of awareness on the individual front, but it's definitely a lack of awareness on the team front because no one from Sanguine was in position to defend that one. After Younglad was bullied away, after Yuji had to use his ultimate defensively, Mineral and Diesel were just grouped up on the left side of the map anyway, wanting to get some farm, but leaving the whole right side exposed for Armada's pickings.
And it's not going to slow down anytime soon. BennyQ with that Poison Star online now, starting to do some really nice crit damage there into Mineral. This Kefri not feeling super tanky against the likes of Armada with this Fire Giant, but things aren't over just yet. There is a creep wave pushing in, and I love what Cope is doing here by making sure to clear out the mid wave so that way Armada can have the assistance of Fire Waves pressuring Sanguine in a different lane.
Especially when you have the Blink Relic Dagger to be able to just spam that freely. Looking at the relics from Sanguine, everyone still has it up. No one's got baited out in a sticky situation, but that could be still to be decided depending on how Sybil aggresses moving forward. Finds a stun onto Mineral, but it's still a little patient waiting game as Fire Minions have to be dealt with by Yuji. On the backhand side is Cope. Who's the target? It's going to be a little bit of a reset. Wave flooding in. Armada now feeling frisky.
Mineral is going to get controlled from that Fear No Evil Scare's blessing onto himself yet again. Desert Fury is going to come out as well, but everybody from Armada has already fallen too far back.
Oh, Cope is going in. Last breath right on top. Sheikah is actually going to take out Sops. Younglad is going to barely survive. More fear and more evil as Bra falls victim to Yuji.
Cope Baby's just focused on Yuji Box's speed buff right now, understanding that the team fight's already been lost. Armada are going to have to sit and wait because Sanguine, with this Discordia, are unable to be breached so far. Sheikah did such an excellent job poking out BennyQ early on, and that's what it really comes down to, is BennyQ eating a Strife Unruly Magic combination, being put down to 40% health, automatically causing Armada to have to stand a little bit further back.
That's what happens when you have 40% cooldown reduction. Technically having 50% between still not selling the Mage's Blessing, but still, he'll get rid of that as soon as he finishes off his 5th item. And that Strife hitting 2 targets to create not only the root effect, but that madness effect just delays those sieges even further, even allowing Sanguine now to get the Gold Fury, to delay the game a little bit further. And their late game is pretty solid if you think about it, with the Hunbats, the passive as well. Looking at his build, we're going to get a chance to see what it is. Getting the Hydra's Lament is a solid selection to just boost some of those numbers, especially when you go in the back line. You got the defensive measures as well, coming from Mineral and the Khepri that was heavily focused out by the Geb and the Athena bands. And he's had a solid performance, I would say, in the late game. Being able to keep himself alive in that last Phoenix Siege is what allowed Sanguine to hold on to their Phoenix.
Some very similar vibes from this game to the last one for Sanguine here. They lost the mid-Phoenix in the last match too, Toli, and they still managed to come back after the fact. So
you're not wrong there.
They're trying their best to see if they can continue pushing into the likes of Sanguine, but they just really seem to be struggling finding an answer to Sheikah's Discordia at the Phoenixes.
Oh, they're going to see what they can do in the next one. Fire Giant is about to fizzle away in 20 seconds, so they can't really use the remainder of that duration for any more Phoenixes. But they could use that timing to be able to ward around the Fire Giant, because as disinterested as Sanguine was to defend the last Fire Giant, I think they'll be even more disinterested this time after how successful they were defending.
The next Fire Giant, though, it might be a little bit easier for Sanguine to try and prevent from Armada immediately sieging. I don't think that Sanguine were... I'm pretty sure they knew it was happening the first time.
It just didn't seem like they cared whether or not Armada got it.
Contesting it. Because by the time that Sanguine would have been able to rotate every single one of their members over to that part of the map, Armada would have already confirmed the Fire Giant, and then Sanguine would have just been trickling in one by one, most likely.
True.
And we've already seen what happens multiple times in this match when Sanguine aren't all grouped up at the same place at the same time.
That's true. It's all about who can strike first, and Armada have definitely done so on the right side of the jungle. And Fire Giant is due to respawn in 15 seconds, so look at the left side. Hunbats is there backing. Not sure if he's even going to get to the right side of the map in time. Even canceling his back is Yuji. I don't see Sanguine being able to defend this one.
Sanguine most likely just going to try to take their chances again underneath their Phoenixes, knowing that the Fire Giant is respawning now. It seems like Sanguine are a lot more interested in just making sure that the creep waves in the right-hand lane are as pushed out as possible. That way Armada have to spend a little bit of time looking to regain map control in all of the lanes.
I agree, because now it's forcing Armada to funnel into one lane. And if they want to try to get in 2 or 3, that's going to take a lot more time, diminishing the full effectiveness of this Fire Giant buff. That is the enhanced version, now giving 30% extra structure damage to the late game ROM. But BennyQ can easily start melting these Phoenixes if left unchecked.
Well, maybe not as fast as you might think. BennyQ does have the crit build going for him, so he would probably need some assistance from a creep wave in order to have a little bit of a better impact against those Phoenixes.
Having red buff as well. Let's see how Armada approach this. 4 members stand strong in the mid lane. Separating to the right side is Cope Baby in a 1v1 against Yuji. Trying to get the Magus cloak off. Will do so successfully. Mineral going to catch out Bra with the abduct. Earth and Fury comes through from Sybil. But Bra a little bit too close to the action. Spreads the apple to Sybil. Yuji catches out too with the Fear No Evil. BennyQ goes up into the sky. Tried to land onto Diesel, forces out the jump. Sybil still in the thick of things, but the Strife and the Eagles rally. Sanguine still barely holding on.
But just look at how split apart Armada are right now. Cope Baby's all the way inside Sanguine's base still. BennyQ will finally manage to bring down that Phoenix, but at the expense of his own life. Now Sanguine looking to turn things around and chase Armada right down the mid lane.
So 5-on-4. BennyQ is dead for 50 seconds. Armada secured the middle Phoenix, but at what cost? Because Sanguine are not stopping their pressure down the mid lane. Even looking at the left side, minions were able to strip away the tier 2 tower. And with that minion wave very close to the left side, they could shift over to the left Phoenix if they really want to. A little 1v1 between the junglers. Cope is going to get chased down from Yuji. 4-on-3 in the mid lane. Sob's taking a little bit of poke force to disengage, as is Diesel. Dazzling offensive, takes out the Yonder, and it seems that Sanguine bit off more than they could chew, Taco.
Sheikah, though, with a nice golden apple onto Sobs, is going to force out his beads and Aegis, but now Sheikah is out of the Aegis as well.
Cope in the backside, gets off the Cobra's Kiss to Younglad, forced to retreat. Sheikah's going to go on the left. He's going to have to sacrifice his own life. Mineral didn't have the ultimate. Cope gonna beat away from the Fear No Evil, as Yuji could not do anything about it.
Cope needs a couple more seconds here before he can get the Deathbane online, and it's not going to be enough. Sybil now looking to charge forward. Young Lad just a little bit too low for his Taken, and
wow.
Sanguine will manage to disengage.
Eagles rally forced to be used defensively. Now they're not going to have that for the Titan defense if that's where Armada tends to go, but they're a little bit too far away from committing to the Titan end.
Everybody from Armada just started to respawn around the same time that Cope Baby was falling. There's no way that Bruh could comfortably push in to the Titan room from Sanguine by himself and look for a game end. Sanguine kind of just lucking out on the fact that Armada had to wait it out for the respawns.
And it was a little bit of an advantage that Cope narrowly won the 1v1 and still made the rotation on the flank side from the solo lane, which is what allowed the little pincer maneuver to really punish Sanguine for their transgressions.
Check it out, though. BennyQ finally finishing off that Hunter build with a Wind Demon. So triple crit threat out of this ROM. No chance of Diesel wanting to take up any 1v1s with a ROM any longer. And the same could almost be said for just about anyone on Sanguine. In a 1v1 environment, it's going to come down to Young Lad trying to control this ROM in the back line. If Sanguine want any hopes of not having to worry, or if they want to be able to push Armada off of the Phoenixes.
That's right. Having a lot of reflect damage to deal with the late game ROM is generally the correct course of action out of your solo laner, and even having Scourge just for good measure, just for the disarm. BennyQ not going to have an easy time to find those critical strikes. That's going to be the focus out of Young Lad. Yuji has been doing a decent job defending with that Fear No Evil, but Sheikah has been falling too frequently for Sanguine's Lycan. Diesel, as well in the mid game, is starting to really hurt in the late game. Honor is not one of these gods that will solo carry the late game the same way BennyQ can on the ROM.
That's for sure, totally. But Sheikah, I think, is also just getting a little bit unlucky here because Mineral Scarab's Blessing has been forced so early on in multiple engagements for the past few minutes that's the primary reason Armada are able to continuously find picks against Sanguine that prevent Sanguine from having a recovery period. It's Mineral just needs to try and hold on to that Scarab's Blessing a little bit better. I want to see Sanguine play more counter-initiation than what they have been.
Well, we'll see what they can do with this last defense, because so far so good in terms of keeping their Titan alive, but without finding the proper amount of picks. It's not like they're not finding the picks, because they certainly are. They're just getting overzealous and a little bit too distracted. I don't think that Yuji should be trying to go 1v1 anymore against Cope. Middle Phoenix being looked at, very close to falling yet against Bra, using that dazzling offensive defensively. BennyQ taking a lot of damage, forced to go into the Aegis, getting clipped by the Apple. BennyQ forced to use that Astral Barrage, not going to be able to survive once he lands back down. Hold that thought, though, because he's still running for his life.
Young Lad not going to get prevented from the chase down. The wall clap was just off the mark, and now a beautiful Strife Unruly Magic from Sheikah is going to bring down Sops incredibly low. Armada are on the full retreat here. Cope Baby was handled on the backside because everyone was distracted trying to peel for BennyQ.
Mineral was able to save Yuji Box with a beautiful Scarab's Blessing. Cope trying to win the 1v1, and he did so, but then the revive allowed the advantage. Armada now are having to play defense in the 3-on-5, and Taco, for the first time in this game, I think Armada are going to get themselves the Fire Giant. Or sorry, Sanguine's going to get themselves the Fire Giant to secure themselves the game, maybe.
Well, Fire Giant's a good place to start, and Armada, the T2 tower in mid lane is a freebie. You know that they're going to be able to confirm that with or without this FG, considering that 2 members from Armada are dead, and I highly doubt that Armada are going to want to risk everything on a T2 tower defense. So Sanguine just taking advantage of the situation, understanding that Armada don't feel comfortable with fighting them currently in a 3v5, will choose to go for that Fire Giant instead, and that's going to benefit them so much more, totally, because that means not just a T2 tower, but possibly even finding return fire in this mid lane with the Phoenix.
So in the last Phoenix Siege, I definitely noticed how Bra's dazzling offensive wasn't at its most efficiency. But what else went really wrong for Armada there? Because losing 2 members and only getting the middle Phoenix for it without a single kill doesn't seem like a very successful Fire Giant.
They just didn't really have anybody to damage the Phoenix itself. BennyQ just now switching up his build, recognizing how much he was struggling to bring down Phoenixes that, in all honesty, probably should have been confirmed.
Tier 2 middle tower goes down, but Armada still trying to defend. Bra is going to use that dazzling offensive defensively. BennyQ in the sky. Diesel going to get revived by that Scarab's Blessing. Eagles rally on top of Sops. Yuji going to separate the team fight into 2 as the tier 2 tower finally crumbles. Jumping away is Yuji. Dashing away is Sybil. It's a 5-on-4. Sanguine with Fire Giant looking relatively healthy to confirm themselves their first Phoenix of the game.
But Diesel, he's got the sustain now from the Devo gloves, giving him a little bit of lifesteal, and he'll be able to help assist Sanguine on this next Phoenix push. And this Firebird is melting.
Oh,
totally.
yeah. Oh, absolutely it is. Taco Diesel could be in a little bit of trouble as he jumps away, as Coke Baby is going to confirm that one on the backhand side. Still a 4-on-4. Apple being thrown out. Nobody's going to eat that one this time around. Bra still very low, fighting in the backline. But Armada fighting outside of their Phoenixes, and they're going to start dropping like flies.
They already managed to push Sanguine slightly further back. They should have taken the time to go heal instead. BennyQ could end up getting caught out here now. Yuji with a nice blink forward, but he won't be able to find the abilities after.
Oh, good Aegis, though. And now it's going to be a death onto Yuji. Titan does get leashed. Armada are striking back as Sybil going to get rooted into place. No real follow-up from there. Cope leading the charge with BennyQ, dashing on forward. The target is Sheikah, receiving the Book of the Dead passive proc. Here goes Yuji's ultimate. Mineral is going to drop. It's an absolute slobber knocker, Taco, because Sheikah falls down.
And Cope Baby's still looking to get chased the Young Lad. Young Lad has been giving so many issues to Armada for so long, but BennyQ with this swapped up build now starting to really chip away at Young Lad's health.
This is an end call, Taco. This has to be a game-deciding push. It's a 5-on-2 as Diesel has to respond. 25 seconds for Yuji, 40 for Mineral, 45 out of Sheikah. I don't see how Sanguine can defend this one. Bra has teleport, so it's going to be 5-on-2.
He just upgraded that teleport as well. Nice ward going to be placed from Armada to make sure that Bra can join the fray here. And it does look like the all-in is what Sanguine's after, Toli.
They're going to get Diesel as Bra is going to be able to try to zone away Young Lad. Sop's going to be able to force himself into the Aegis. Respawning is Yuji. He does have the ultimate, waiting for his right time to strike. Sybil pops the Earth in Fury. It's an all-in commit out of Armada. Can Sanguine hold the ultimate from Young Yuji? Trying to hold a little bit longer. Cope is going to fall, but Sops takes out Yuji. Titan finally lower, and Sanguine are not going to be able to do it. Armada claimed the victory, jumping in the standings.
So much back and forth action for the last 10 minutes of that game, Toli. It was hard to tell who was going to end up coming out on top there, but in the end, Armada managed to keep their second place standing intact.
A lot of barn-burning action here today between these two, honestly. Armada now going to jump to 6-3. Unfortunately for Sanguine, they're going to go to 5-3, but finding the victory earlier from Classified was well for them. Who do you guys at home think deserve the MVP for that one? Because my money, it's got to be Cope on the Circuit.
Cope on the Circuit for you?
His early game plays were pretty good.
His early game plays were fantastic, but in a way, man, this is actually a really hard decision. I think that everyone from Armada did a fantastic job. Cope probably is going to have to be the one to bring it home. I thought that Sops had some great transformations. That's where I was really torn between deciding between Cope and Sops, but I guess Armada never really get a chance to make it to that phase had it not been for Cope finding so many beautiful picks.
Well, Armada with that victory will go up to 6-3, but that's not going to be it for us here in North America SMITE Minor League action. Don't go anywhere. We're going to have set number 4 coming to you soon.
Welcome back to the SMITE Minor League. Finch here, joined by Ryan Agro Bailey as we move into Classified, going up against Very Nice to Me. An important match here, Ryan, because Classified actually dropped to Sanguine earlier, who then kind of gifted it back by dropping to Armada, so it's really back and forth.
It's that was a heartbreaking loss, though, for Classified, and now they have to try to mentally reset and get ready for this matchup up against Very Nice to Me, which is very critical. Remember, all these teams looking for that top 3 position. Classified, I believe, is right there, right in the middle of it, near the top end. So they're definitely looking to find a victory here.
And don't forget, Optimus Gang, who looked immortal over there in Europe, finally did falter. They were missing Johnny for that, of course. They were missing Johnny, but what I'm saying is those top teams could lose some games.
It's possible.
There's a precedent, a little bit, so maybe there could be some trouble. Very Nice to Me, but they continue to look strong.
Very Nice to Me didn't look as strong, though, I think, earlier on today when we saw them.
Not unbeatable, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So I think that if Very Nice to Me plays the way they did earlier on today in the first set of the day, against ranked All-Stars, and Classified is able to keep it together and play towards their best, I think Classified could win.
They absolutely have a chance here. An important match, though. Classified absolutely cannot afford to go 0-2 on the day and still try and make it into that top 2. It's not going to be easy, especially with Armada, I believe, picking up a victory.
Right.
That bumps them up even further. It's really now just about that 3rd spot, it feels like, for the rest of these SML teams. We'll go over it a little bit more later on, but picks and bans are ready. Athena, Chernobog taken off the board. It's good to take the Athena from away from Pain, I believe.
Yes, been an Athena main forever, so that's definitely the right sort of idea. Morrigan banned by Very Nice to Me, and I love this Ratatosker ban from Classified. Glavis, since taking over for Sam Versoccer, has been a rat main and done very, very good work with it. He's carried a ton of games for Very Nice to Me so far, so I really like this ban by Classified.
Let's see if we can play on something else as Freya comes through right away. Wouldn't be surprised that ends up in the hands of Wowie, but Classified taking Baron Samdi right away. Melee coming in as well. This has been valued a little bit more in the minor league, I would say, and it's already picked up.
Yeah, and this sort of god feels like Mollusk, right? It's unabashed aggression.
Yes.
You can get yourself out of danger occasionally, which is all Mollusk really wants is the slight chance that he lives. It's really not that important to him, but like at least a little bit.
Mollusk doesn't even take an engagement unless it's most likely that he dies. He likes that thrill.
Right, exactly. He really is. He teeters right on the edge, you know, the Death Shadow player, if you will. So I like it. I think it can synergize very well with his play style and the early game sort of idea that Classified likes to go for.
They already have the Baron, adding Hachiman to that, a hunter who's kind of went away for a little while, I would say, but we've seen him a couple more times over this last week, so I like his lane presence. But they're going up against a lot of control with the Fear No Evil, with the Fafnir and the transformation. They got to make sure they're careful, because so far, they don't have a ton of control on their own side.
I liked it. Very Nice to Me. Lock in the Fafnir, guarantee that, and then just kind of wait. There's no need to take another hunter at this point. You know you're going to take another hunter at some point in this draft, but it doesn't really matter which one. I mean, Medusa and Gibalanque banned by Classified. It's not like your total draft is down the drain now.
No, you're feeling good about Ram, I bet, right?
Yeah, so, exactly. So you could lock in this Hun Bats, make sure Glavis is still comfortable. Like we said, he's been playing a lot of Rat, so I was curious where he wants to go. Don't let him go through another ban phase. Get him a priority pick right away. And now you just give Wowie, who is without a doubt the headliner of this team now, the pick that he wants later on. His God pool is big enough.
I wouldn't hate Hou Yi here either. That ultimate is nice to try and give a little bit of AoE to kind of match up with what you might be lacking going to Freya in the middle lane. As Agni comes in, that is nice to kind of supplement some of the control I said they were missing, but a lot of reliance now going on to whoever their support is, because aside from that, it's a relatively squishy line.
It is, and that's something that Classify is going to have to worry about. And that's why I like the Gep ban, the Kumbhakarna ban as well.
Yeah, great bans.
Khepri seems appetizing, but then you're lacking some serious initiation with your team. Maybe something... Oh, there you go. Kuzenbo.
Yeah, okay.
This is Pain, so of course he's going to want to play Kuzenbo. I was going to say, Artio and Kuzenbo are what Pain usually plays.
Artio wouldn't have been bad here.
I don't love Artio or Kuzenbo in this game. I mean, yes, you're going up against two gods that can auto-attack pretty well, but Freya's going to basically insta-kill you anyways. Your initiation is still very much lacking. Your heal isn't great. I don't know. I don't really like this Kuzenbo.
But the problem is, I don't think there's a Guardian you can pick up. I mean, was Sobek available still? Maybe that could have been the play?
Yes, I believe it was.
I think maybe that could have been the play. But
I think Cerberus.
Cerberus too, but it's so tough, I think, because of how big of a gap they left in terms of what they needed. They needed a frontliner. They needed initiation. They have almost no peel. They're going to be very reliant on self-peel. They need a lot from that last pick, and it's tough for almost anyone to fill all that.
I'm pretty sure Cerberus is the pick that I like the most. The more that I think about it, it kind of brings all of those things. Maybe not the best at peeling, but the initiation is very good. The front line is very good. You can get a lot out of him. But Pain, his teams throughout Season 5 have basically been first picking his supports all year long, and they wait until the very last, and I think it does end up hurting their draft pretty significantly.
We'll see if they can make it work. Is Zaxi already in trouble? Sprint comes out from Wowie, trying to chase down the Hunter, formerly on box, and might go for first blood. Wowie doesn't miss autos, not here for very nice to me. Let him hear it as you find first blood.
Pain was so worried about clearing the wave, and Zaxi couldn't really step up to assist him in that spot. You just won't out-clear with Hachiman Kuzenbo. It just won't happen. So there's no reason to position as if you could. It feels like, you know, Zaxi definitely responsible for that death to some degree, but at the same time, why is Pain at the enemy archers when he's not going to out-clear them?
Instead, it leaves Zaxi on a bit of an island, and now very nice to me have a chance to grab the purple buff, and they certainly will, and still have their own. They'll likely give it over to Wowie for a chance to get that stacking debuff aura out over here in the dual lane, but already feeling good with this Neath. I was thinking because they already have the Freya, they might want a more auto-attack focused Hunter over here a little bit. That's why I was, suggesting the ROM. But there's nothing wrong with this either, especially if they're going to get this early pressure. This ability-based sort of in-between can definitely work.
Plus, I mean, Fafnir makes up for the fact that you don't have an attack speed stairway.
Yes.
Kind of built in, so you're not as worried about it. You kind of get the best of both worlds. You know what pick I was thinking of was Kernanos. Because I think Kern can be really, really good up against gods like Pele, as Malice going to gank on this right-hand side. Solar Troll has to juke for his life, but Mando Warrior is cutting off the escape route. There's one little shot, and indeed Solar Troll is out of there.
Excellent.
Glavis in the mid lane gets dove on, or Grave rather gets dove. Glavis will trade out 1-for-1 underneath that tower. I think that Kernanos could have been good because it's really good against characters that become amplified and then want to fight you right after that, like, say, Pele.
Solar Troll trying to go back in. Almost has Mando Warrior dead to rights. No abilities, but now Mando Warrior taking a bit of a tough pathing. Can't get the juke to lead to the heal either, so he's certainly going to be in trouble now. He still has the dash to be able to close the distance. Solar Troll finds the solo kill. Mando Warrior goes down. But I want to come back to the Kernanos discussion. So you like Wild Hunt when the steroid comes out to mitigate their window to be aggressive.
Exactly. It stops the lifesteal. It stops that ability. I mean, even you look at Kuzenbo, he's shell spiking and we can't kill him. We just wild hunt him and then he doesn't have thorns on him, he doesn't have shell spikes. We kill him easily. Mando Warrior, he's going to have a lot of cooldowns. He's going to get that movement speed from Consigned Spirits. Drop that wild hunt. Now he's a much easier target to kill, especially at a composition that doesn't have a lot of peel. Wild Hunt is really good because you can take their only peel out of the equation in the form of Agni or Baron or Kuzenbo and then get your easy kills elsewhere.
Pain to Beyond wants to come defend the purple buff invade. Left is already a bit far forward. He's half HP. Knockup lands as well. Good stun from the EI Jutsu, and Daddy left has nowhere to go, ends up falling to the 4-member rotation from Classified.
Wow, he had a nice route, but it still wasn't quite enough. A rotation coming from Very Nice to Me. Amuel's level 5. Whoop, looking for it, finds Pain, and that should spell the end, though a great double bomb stun from Grave actually bails Pain out of danger. Amuel had him in Valkyrie's Discretion kill threshold, but Grave was there to make sure that his support stayed alive.
Works out well for him. He did get the dash off as well, so Pain to Beyond had a lot of things going his way, but they can't quite close it out. So even though Very Nice to Me has had some early aggression, Classified's done a good job finding some answers back on the back end with that big rotation over to duo lane. Very Nice to Me have to keep this going. But you were saying Kernanos, I was thinking a little bit like Hu Yi, maybe Rom. Ho Yi to try and give them some AoE. This team might miss that a little bit.
Yeah.
One way that you can make up for that is if you're very efficiently killing them quickly, then it kind of doesn't matter. It's like that 300 1-by-1 sort of funnel them in strategy can definitely still work. But Ho Yi might have been able to kind of cover that up a little bit if it becomes a problem.
I agree. Target focus for Very Nice to Me hasn't been a problem for them historically, but with the amount of roster changes that they've had, it certainly could become an issue. So I think that there is something to be said about just covering that base with some AoE. But honestly, if Fafnir makes you so incentivized to just burn a single target anyways because of coerce, that you're basically just coercing your hunter or your mage in this sense, and then just letting them go to work and let them call the target because they've got that much damage.
I like this, though, from Wowie. But now Solar Troll's in trouble. Fatal Strike does get him away. There's no way. 8 HP, and I think that was with a tick.
Yeah.
Solar or Troll just barely making it out.
Easy for him, dude. No problem whatsoever. And he stays, by the way.
What a
He's
nut.
staying for that wave.
Of course he is.
His teleport was up in like 18 seconds, so he decides to do it. I don't know if Glavis may have had an idea where Mollis was.
I think Mollis might have been near their ward up at the top.
Right,
just barely.
so Solar Troll knew he was going to be safe, but easy for him, dude. Good reaction by Mando Warrior. You're basically saving life of the party on this lane for when you get Neath ulted because it gives you the damage mitigation and the CC immunity. And if that's going to happen again, I mean, it's got to be Mando Warrior being a little bit more pushed up than he was.
Not quite able to find it there, especially with life of the party still available. We just heard the headset 3 HP for Solar Troll. Easy calculated.
That's 2 more than he needed.
Yeah, no problemo. Fear no evil though, gonna catch Mando Warrior. No coffin this time from to hop on top of, and Glavis finds quite the easy kill onto the solo lane Baron and puts him down the right-hand side. But Ryan, I want to see more of this Neath. Maybe Mando won't continue to be the option for them, but I want to keep seeing it. Lately, we've been seeing Neath picks without a whole lot of play around that World Weaver. That's one of her biggest strengths.
Without a doubt. I think that this is the perfect time to pick Neath against an immobile mage in the solo lane, against a fairly immobile jungler for Mollusk. I mean, not immobile, that's the wrong word for it, but leapless jungler. You make Mollusk use Volcanic Lightning in response to make sure that he doesn't end up getting stunned and killed pretty easily by the rest of Very Nice to Me. I think that we've seen too much Baron solo for it to keep working as well as it has in the laning phase. I think too many teams are giving it too much respect, and there are picks that do very well against it, in the sense that gank it very well. I'm looking at Hunbats, I'm looking at Achilles as 2 gods that can work very well up against Mando Warrior and kill him pretty easily. Just because Glavis came over there once doesn't mean he can't just go do it again.
Yeah.
Go do it again. It seems pretty simple.
And keep in mind that they haven't been under a tremendous amount of pressure elsewhere on the map, right? So if they want to keep doing it, like have Wowie use the ultimate, force out life of the party, 30 seconds later Glavis rotates in, right? If they want to keep doing that, at this point, Classified haven't put enough pressure on them to where that's not an appropriate use of resources. They can absolutely afford to expend those ultimates on that right-hand side for Mando. So unless Classified tell you differently, I would keep trying.
Why not? I mean, there's not a whole lot of ward coverage over there either for Mando Warrior. So we'll see if that's where Glavis wants to head over. Has Blink up at about 10 seconds, but no, he's going to drop the ultimate in the mid lane. Grave holds on to the Purification Beads, and World Weaver gets it done. Mollis couldn't get in range in time. Wonder why Grave holds on to the beads in that spot, man. That's look. Maybe he knows that Amuel isn't there, but it doesn't really matter. A Hunbat's ultimate for full duration just by himself will be enough to kill you.
Absolutely. Not even just the control; it's ticking for damage as well to make things a little bit worse. Anything you can do to get out of there will certainly help. As unfortunately, Grave takes the spill. At least unfortunately for Classified fans. Very Nice to Me, I'm sure, are pretty happy the way that's gone. They now have Wowie 2-0-0. Glavis having a nice game as well with 2 kills to his name. And Boots Jotun's finished. A little bit ahead of Mollusk, who looks like might be working on, I think we've seen, Void Shield in this slot occasionally, maybe even Shifters. Certainly some options there.
Might be Glad Shield. We've seen a little bit of Glad Shield on Pele to really double down on the sustain when she falls below half. I wouldn't mind that look.
That's true. We usually see a little bit earlier on, so I almost forgot. Sometimes they go first, but Glavis is here, but I don't believe he has the ultimate. He just expended it in middle lane. The Monkey Toss not there, but too fast is the Unbot. Zaxi has nowhere to go. Now Pain in some trouble, and now the dash has been expended. Sprint will close this gap quite well. Unravel not going to get the BM kill. They'll settle for the Monkey Toss.
Nice rotation over by Glavis. We were asking him to go over to solo, but when he gets a kill in mid, and then 2 kills in left, you can't really argue with it. Amuel in no man's land.
Absolutely. On
the enemy red, turns back around, and Mollis doesn't have enough mana to commit to this kill.
He's in the demilitarized zone or something over there. Solar Troll gets pulled underneath the tower and somehow is A-OK. Also avoids the Consigned Spirit coming out, but doesn't quite have enough damage to turn things around on Mando. But now that both ults are expended, Solar Troll can probably control this space with this little bit of HP lead.
Glavis again, mano-a-mano up against Grave. This time, Grave able to stay up and healthy. No help from Wowie this time around to make sure it goes in Glavis' favor.
What really is impressive about Solar Troll in this lane is how well he's avoiding giving the heal back to Mando Warrior, right? That's been what's really key, is that Mando's been trying to be predictive with it. Like, I think you're going here and placing the heal to make up for that slight delay on when it actually casts. But not letting that happen to Solar Troll, and that's given him a bit of an advantage here.
That is the biggest part about laning against Baron, is how often can you deny him the heal? And who cares if he's using it to clear the wave? Who cares about anything else he's doing, frankly? It's all about that heal.
Mollis rotating in, has the extra movement speed, and left in a whole heap of trouble. The knock-up, Zaxi finds an easy kill, but Wowie saying Neath absolutely has some AoE on top of that weave. That's good damage, but certainly not going to find any kills, but he's still moving up forward. What a nutcase. Beads give him a moment, but Volcanic Eruption too strong.
Zaxi the one to get it, though. Fear No Evil comes out from Glavis. Sacred Monkey was a little bit off, and Glavis won't be able to catch Zaxi because of it. Mollis too fast, and here's Grave.
He blinks in, or dashes in aggressively, and it's perfect. Drops the bomb at his feet. Amuel wants to trade things back out, but the third one off the mark, and that's enough to keep Grave alive. They find another kill. 3 members go down, really 4. I think Left died at the beginning of that. A huge fight for Classified.
That is huge. It puts them right back in this game. It really felt like very nice to me. It was starting to control the pace. Glavis was getting big. I mean, Amuel had been able to free farm for the most part, but that's twice now that Amuel's rotations have been questionable at best, and Glavis just ends up dropping a kill onto Zaxi by just a small margin, and that ends up being the difference because Zaxi's damage coming back to help out against Amuel is relevant.
That's absolutely right. That fight starts off with Mollusk rotating on the back side. I'm not sure if there were wards there now or before. They certainly are not there now, so Mollusk is able to have a pretty easy time coming in on the backside of that fight and catching out Left to start that fight off. Wowie goes back in to put out some damage, and he does have good damage, yes, but he ends up getting punished for it. The rotation's a little bit too slow for the rest of the squad. The Classified find a great fight in duo to bring this thing back to parity.
I really thought that Wowie could have died the first time. Right after backflip, Mollusk turns, and it helps kill Lefty. But then, I mean, Wowie stepping up means that Volcanic Lightning could have gotten the job done.
Mando Warrior in some trouble now as World Weaver's on its way. Solar Troll tanking the tower, but does not have the damage. Mando Warrior, even low on mana, is going to find the shot. He might even die to minions if he's not careful here. Oh, Mollis means he's certainly dead.
Fatal Strike for Solar Troll that time around. Blink forward by Glavis, though, looking for Mando. Not a lot there in the kit for Mando. Jump committed, so Glavis gets the kill, but that means Mollis should get the cleanup.
Absolutely. Ends up taking down Glavis. Those cone autos. Grave now in a little bit of trouble, but again, Valkyrie's Discretion gets juked out. Amuel at least trades his life out, but it ends up being 1-for-1 as Grave gets the kill crit on the back end.
Man, Grave is probably the most aggressive mid laner in the league right now. I mean, he is just doing every play. It feels like he dashes in right away, and it's worked out so far, but I don't know. I think that this Agni selection, Grave has been by far his favorite. It's that and the Raijin, 2 gods he can dash on you with. And if I'm playing against Classified, whether it's on the best 3 round robins or next week leading up to it, I'm just playing a mid laner that can get jumped on and turn and kill. I'm playing compositions, and I'm just kind of waiting until I get jumped on by Grave, because it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when.
He sees even a small opportunity he likes, he's absolutely gonna swing at it.
It's very much like Paul. I mean, Paul, yes, who was the mid laner for basically this team for Classified, was very much the same style of player, and throughout the years, he became much, much better at reining that in and finding the right spots to play hyper aggressive. But before, I mean, it was just Paul saw you and he was going to dash and try and kill you every time. And we, when I played against him in the console side of things, we absolutely used that all the time. It was, I would be like, hey, I'm moving up towards mid, I'll be in the middle of the lane, just preemptively Thor ult because I know he's going to dash on me.
Gold Fury now being considered by Very Nice to Me. Classified are nearby to try and force them off. Grave has been a strong presence, but World Weaver forced him back. Fear No Evil, though, from Glavis can't quite get into range. A huge team fight ultimate now down for Very Nice to Me, and they've got to give this one up.
Did Glavis fudge the blink there? Is that what happened?
Perhaps. He didn't. I don't know if he had it.
Maybe he thought it was up and it wasn't, because it's certainly down. Amuel also down. Mollis gets all the damage off, and Amuel doesn't even get the ultimate.
Now Solar Troll in trouble, not even going to get the ultimate off as Grave locks him down. 5 members of Classified, not just alive, but healthy, and Mollis trying to zone out Wowie and Lefty. The rest of the team, they'll already have Gold Fury low. Mando Warrior coming for zoning duty. Mollis finds the knock up, nowhere for Left to go. Mollis finds a double with Volcanic Eruption. Gold Fury goes to Classified, and they send Glavis running.
That was beautiful by Mollusk. Like I said, I feel like this is the perfect type of character
5-0-5
for Mollusk, and he has played so well so far in this game. 5-0-5 as I gone with the Void Shield instead of the Glad Shield. And I like the Void in this spot just because you're going to be getting Neath ulted at times. Solar Troll is going to have early pressure potentially. I mean, Mando took a couple spills in lane, but has been able to hold strong in the team fights. Really, for me, it's that Amuel has done very little so far this game.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's the second time in a row we've said it. I mean, he's, again, second from the bottom in player damage and got killed there with both relics up and his ultimate available. And that you're just never going to win a fight when your mid laner doesn't use a relic or an ultimate, gets 0 damage off in a fight. You just won't win it.
Unfortunately, it does. Unless you're a fan for Classified, that fight does not go your way. As we did just see Glavis take a spill in mid lane, gets a bit caught out, and now Classified have turned this game around entirely. If we can look at the charts, I think that'll kind of tell you this story. We can start to see around the 12-minute mark that curve up in very nice to be's favor, but it has gone straight down ever since. Now 8,000 experience in Classified's favor, 4,200 gold as well. A big swing around. But I will say, if you're very nice to me, don't sell your stock, don't hit the panic switch. This is not the first time this year they've fallen behind early. They certainly know how to play from this point as well, though you obviously don't prefer it.
No, exactly. But you're right. They are an experienced team that have certainly pulled themselves back from situations like this before. And it all starts with making sure that Amuel is able to do relevant damage in these team fights. But Wallace Cunningham yet again. Look at that burn.
Oh, Amuel is absolutely gone. Cut him out of the picture, and we will see him in 30 seconds.
My God. That was absurd. But where's the respect from Amuel? I mean, he looks at him. That has got to be you have to ult right away, or you have to Aegis right away. Lefty's got to jump over that wall to try and help you. But you got to communicate that you're in trouble. Amuel has been in 2 engagements in the last 5 minutes or so, and has insta-died in both and gotten off 0 damage or used a relic or ultimate in either one. Smite's a really complicated game, Finch. There's a lot of intricacies. This is one where it's really simple. You won't win when your mid laner does 0 in a fight.
Yes. Yeah, you're down a person, straight up.
Yes.
It's almost like effectively a DC at that point because you're getting so little out of him. Now, Amuel still has the opportunity to make the turnaround here. Book of Thoth, Pen Boots, and Polynomicon all there. That's very core for Freya. She'll certainly still have damage. But at this point, 3 levels behind Grave, who's also been playing lights out, I think, and helped put Mollusk in a very good position. It's a very uphill task.
Classified now a 6K lead in this level 18 Pele. Pele is definitely a character that when she gets a lead like this, she is really, really difficult to stop. Because it's not just single target damage as an assassin. She has a lot of AoE between Volcanic Lightning and that Eruption that you can't really peel her particularly easily, especially Volcanic Lightning. It's near impossible to peel away. Even when you body block it, the auto attacks follow up that are AoE. You know, they do big damage.
Yeah, sometimes you don't even want to. You might be giving a cone that might not even be there. Glavis drops down the Fear No Evil. This is critical to find Grave early on. Now Zaxi in trouble as well. A bit of an overcommit from Classified as only 2 members are here. Mollusk can't find Glavis either. He jumps over the wall, and Very Nice to Me are trying to disengage.
But it all starts because Grave has a horrendous dash underneath the tier 2. Just like we were saying earlier, over-aggressive out of the mid laner. It looks like Classified might be able to turn around despite that. 7 in a row for the Mollusk, but still, man.
Oh, his name is the Mollusk.
Yeah, that's the Mollusk to you. That was bad. That was definitely not the play.
And Classified look like they're not done yet. They are going to find the knockup on a Solar Troll. Amuel takes quite a bit of damage as well from Mando Warrior. The banish is there, but it's just not going to be enough. Classified, what we saw just now was, even though they overstepped, you were staring down the barrel of a 5,000, 6,000 gold lead and an experience deficit. It's still tough to try and fight as Solar Troll forces Mando out. Speed buff invade is going to come through, and Mollusk is very fast. And
it may seem like I'm being a little bit particularly harsh today on the minor league, and I had this discussion with a friend of mine that we judge these players based on how they play against other minor league teams for what, 9 to 10 months out of the year.
Yeah.
But this is they are weeks away from playing against literally the best teams in the world and trying to punch their ticket to Worlds. So I think it's time to start judging them based on that. We gave them a full year of ramp to get ready for that level, and now they are on the precipice. And it seems like there are still some really big gaps in the way these teams are playing. And I just feel like it's fair to start judging them in that way, at least during this part of the year.
Absolutely, 100%. That's the path they're on right now. And it's the path a lot of them want. You know, there's been some talk from some of these teams You know, they think they're at that level with some of those SPL teams, and we'll certainly get a chance to see.
They think that, yes.
I am very excited for it. I think an SML team winning would be so hype.
It would be.
But they've got to play cleaner than what we're seeing here. SK and LG would certainly punish you for some of these mistakes.
Without a doubt. I think in a best of 10, LG and SK would win at least 9.
Yep, I'm right there with you. As Mando Warrior hops up onto the coffin, but it's Mollusk who gets punished. The 3-man collapse removes him, and Lefty's able to get back to the team and heal up. Solar Troll, though, wants to keep right on going. Fatal Strike to retreat, but very nice to have already found their pick.
That's where frontlining as an assassin doesn't quite work as well. Mollusk falls into the old trap that he has fallen for thousands of times, it feels like, during his career. Just way too far forward by himself. No real follow-up, and it goes back to what we were saying about this draft, where they just don't have adequate front lines.
But now that's 2 fights in a row where Classified have overstepped a bit. Are they going to keep that going? As Mountain Archery does good damage, but Glavis comes in on the backside of Zaxi. He still has Iajutsu, but the Gold Fury goes over to Very Nice to Me. Now can they disengage? Glavis' life is certainly forfeit on the back end. Sprints enough for Very Nice to Me to retreat everywhere else. Only 1 for Gold Fury at this stage. Probably still a win.
I love that confidence by Very Nice to Me. There's no panic in them. I think a lot of teams with 2 frontliners very low, knowing that the game is very close, the fact that they are behind, don't stick on that Gold Fury in the face of Mounted Archery, but Very Nice to Me take it slow and secure the objective. Now they've got to try to find a way to defend this one.
Well, this is just as confident a response from Classified. Great recognition of the game state. A lot committed from Very Nice to Me, and they have the advantage here. Fire Giant does go down for Classified. Now Solar Troll in a heap of trouble. He ends up falling to Zaxi, unable to steal. Pull back in Amuel. Why not? Double kill for Zaxi as he sends him reeling. Classified answer back in a big way.
And just as much as I love Very Nice to Me, staying true and holding firm in the face of adversity on that Gold Fury, Classified, take it in stride and walk right over to the Fire Giant and say, fight us here, because you can't. I mean, there's no way in a 5-on-5 where Mollusk doesn't insta-die, Very Nice to Me are going to win it, unless Glavis gets the Fear No Evil to end all Fear No Evils. Look at that team fight recap. 0 gold, 0 XP. Classified gets 2 kills, all that gold and XP, and a Fire Giant, which means they're only getting more after the fact. You just won't win a fight when your mid is down 5 levels. It's very difficult to win a fight when your Neath is behind. It's just already a character that kind of needs to be ahead when it comes to the team fighting stage. This Fafnir will help. Solar Troll can't really frontline because everyone's level 20. He can't withstand the damage that Classified is throwing at him. This is a matter of Very Nice to make a good play around the Gold Fury. They are able to make a veteran maneuver, but when it comes down to it, they were just down by too much already. It just feels like a too tough and steep a hill to climb.
Yeah, that's one of the few exchanges where I can say that Very Nice we lose that fight, but not because I think they did anything particularly wrong, right? The Gold Fury play is correct. Classify just respond with their correct move, right? Which is to go start to fight the Fire Giant. And because of the mistakes they've already made, because we're already down here, you know, in our progression chart, there's really just not much Very Nice to Me can do about it to respond. Now they have to try and make these Phoenix defenses happen, and they do still have Fear No Evil, a great ability for that. They do still have Neath who can do some decent damage. If you come over some weaves as well, they certainly have some chances, but if Classified play it cleanly, it feels like it's all them.
Emperor's Armor is done for Lefty, knowing that they're going to need every bit of attack speed they can get. Blink Fear No Evil, Grave, the focus. Aegis immunes a ton of damage, but not enough. Solar Troll still able to get him.
Able to find a backline dive. Solar Troll gets controlled by Pain to Beyond, but it's Mollusk who gets lost in the middle of the fight. He finds Daddy Lefty. Zaxi finds Solar Troll. Wowie. Aegis duration is over for now. Rooted and booted. Mollusk finds a double kill. Now it's only Amuel and Glavis left to defend, and Classified with 4 members strong can keep right on pushing.
I really like that from Classified. We talked about how they don't have a lot of peel, so they don't really try. What they do is they spread out after the initiation. They make sure Very Nice to Me dump everything into one character. They give their apologies to Grave, and then they wipe the floor with Very Nice to Me after that. Don't try and fight with what you can't do. They aren't trying to play around the weaknesses of their composition. They're just accepting that there will be fights where someone important dies, but the rest of us can do so much damage and have so much single target DPS and control that we can still win the fight after that. And I really like that identification by them.
Yeah, they're essentially playing, saying, just pick one.
Right.
You know, yeah, you can have them, but you can't take everyone. because of some of those weaknesses we pointed out earlier on, as Tier 2 Tower in mid and duo both fall down. They've still got 45 more seconds on the FG. They grab the Phoenix on left-hand side. They even have a chance at the Tier 2 Tower in right. This is a successful push by Classified, and they will extend the lead out even further. And even though we're approaching the 25-minute mark, this gold is still very, very much relevant for the rest of, at least for now, in terms of the item disparity.
Oh, without a doubt. It's not even close to being irrelevant yet because, I mean, Amuel's got 4 1/3 items. Wowie's got 4.5. It's really not... they're not even close to being able to finish off the key items even. I mean,
it's a ways to go for sure.
Chin size is not cheap as far as Hunter items go. Wowie's still got a decent amount to go in this build.
I heard that mid bias.
Are you kidding me? Our items are way more
yes,
expensive
you're
across
right.
the board.
You do more damage to everyone. AoE.
No
Shut
way.
up.
We've got cooldowns, Finch. Auto attacks do just as much damage
and
as most
you get
abilities.
more farm. You're in the middle lane. You have mid camps. You have more.
Not
stuff
if the
to farm up.
stupid support is sitting in my lane and letting the stupid Hunter get all the solo
He
farm.
starts in my lane.
Starts in your lane, but then he leaves because he knows you're useless.
Well, I am early. I need my items. Okay. All right.
Cry me a river, Finch. Why don't you go spend 2,200 gold for your best item? Give me a break.
It sure is hard to be at the back of the fight hitting everyone all the time for a bajillion.
Cry me a river. Lifesteal. Oh, no. You got poked out. Let me just hit the frontliner 1,000,000 times. No cooldowns to worry about, by the way. I'm autoing 2.5 times a second. Ridiculous.
It's pretty sweet being a hunter. But Classified now, having regrouped, grabbed. They did not grab the Tier 2 Tower, right? A little bit surprised by that, but they just backed.
Hunter is literally just mid on easy mode, Finch. That's all it is. Your auto attacks do just as much damage as half of, if not more, of my abilities, and there's no cooldown.
Let's say that we're on a Phoenix siege. How many responsibilities do you have as the mid lane mage?
A lot.
And if I'm the hunter, I'm the one who has to decide between, are we DPSing the target, are we DPSing the Phoenix? You have to position close enough to do either one. Mid lane, you stand in the back and you blow up the carry.
Don't
it's
even
easy mode.
Don't worry.
Talk to me.
Don't talk to me about trying to hit other players. You are tower killing bot. Okay, if you're on my team and I see you not hitting Phoenix, I hate you. I mean, just know it right now.
I'm just saying that if I focus the Phoenix the whole fight and you miss your one ability and then we lose, it's because I put 0 into him.
Because my ability is harder to hit,
it's
then
not
yeah,
hard
that's
to hit.
on me.
It's not hard.
You're right. That's why we put the good players in the mid lane and let you little morons hit the big unmoving structure.
It is hard, man. They got to position. They got to aim those autos. It's a lot.
Oh man, I got to position as a class. Oh no.
Mid lane really is free though, isn't it? Mollis jumps into the backside, looking to try and find Glavis on the back end. They're making their Phoenix seats now, but they weren't able to find much. They'll regroup. Actually, up into the air goes Mando. He wants to try and find someone to pull in, but so far, no one falling for it. Zaxi reinitiates with the horse. Mollusk has all the damage you could ask for, and Solar Troll falls down.
That'll force Valkyrie's discretion as well. Right side Phoenix still up for the moment, but I don't know if Amuel can say the same. Good stun from Lefty does save his mid laner's life.
Yeah, because Zaxi had to put damage onto the enemy, too.
Cast the game, Finch.
Trying to find Wowie on the back end. He heads back to the Phoenix, half HP. Mid-Phoenix should certainly come down in favor of Classified. Glavis pinned against the wall, perfect, as Grave finds him as well. Turn their attention back to the structure, it goes down. Grave has a great ace, keeps up alive, and Lefty gonna come right back into a heap of trouble, barely makes it out.
Left side Phoenix is respawned, and Classified just kind of doing their due diligence.
I'm surprised they care for it, yeah.
Mando backing, I think that's why, but he has upgraded teleport. He can come back very, very quickly. And honestly, Classified might be able to just, oh, yeah, they can just end now.
Amuel certainly has fallen. Mando Warrior has backed. He does not have teleport available, so if they go for this, they won't have him. We'll see if they can make it happen either way.
He teleported and then backed again?
I suppose so, because it's a very short timer on it. You're absolutely right. Fire minions now coming in from the left-hand side. Minions from every other lane. Titan down to half HP. Grave dropping down the Agni bombs, and Classified take down the previously undefeated. Very nice to me.
Impressive from Classified. Mollis played great on the Pele. Grave did a lot of damage. He always does, because he's always dashing on everybody. Should probably clean that up. Mando Warrior was able to get out of laning phase. A rough start for Zaxi and Pain. I think that dual lane still needs a little bit of work.
Yes.
Not only in the laning phase, but in the team fight, Zaxi wasn't really bringing it quite as much. But with how much work the Pele was doing, you don't really need it.
Ends up being an excellent game that comes out from Mollusk. And that's what I think you get from Mollusk, right? There's high variance.
Oh,
you can have those games where Mollusk looks like the best jungler you could want.
Yep.
And then you have some games where you're like, Mollusk, I need you to slow down. Okay. And
if only you could, because I think you're right. Mollusk, you kind of roll the dice, and depending on what you get like an insane performance, a good performance, or a very lackluster one. If only you could like sub him out if he's like 0-4, and you're like, okay, this is clearly not our game. Let's just like get our sub in here.
Right.
And then like you just get a sub who's sick from playing jungle from behind. This team would be unstoppable. There you go.
Wouldn't be able to touch him. But who's your MVP? I think from what we're alluding to, you kind of got to vote for Mollusk on this one. But I want to say give some credit over to Mando as well on that gameplay earlier on the Baron. Certainly was strong for him.
I think Mando is probably the strongest solo laner in the minor league right now. There's a lot of contests there. I think Haddox has played well as of late.
Yeah.
Solar Troll still has really, really good games and then really, really bad decision-making at times. I think that if I were to pick a solo laner in the minor league right now that I trust the most, it'd probably be Mando Warrior.
Excellent performance from him, and ends up coming out on top here. Does not very nice to me, rather, but Classified, a bit of a surprise. And we said there's a chance they could drop down. Well, we've had a busy day of minor league action here today, so let's go back over to the analysts and try and break it all down.
Thank you, Finch. Thank you, Aggro. What a day of SMITE Minor League North American action. Who would have thought the undefeated Very Nice to Me would fall today?
It feels like there's been a decent amount of upsets all across the board here in every single one of these matches, totally. It started off, I think, with Senguin finding that very needed victory against Classified in the second matchup of the day, but Classified bringing it right back, making sure to keep that third place dream alive, taking down Very Nice to Me.
They're still tied at 5-3 between those two, but the fact of the matter is that Senguin found the head-to-head record matchup, so that could actually play back to haunt Classified. We'll see as Week 6 approaches, but this last game specifically, I'm looking at Mollusk and his Pele performance. I think it was like 10-1-11 at the end of that game.
It was pretty gross. Mollusk there wasn't anybody to answer to. I mean, whether it was contesting on the Gold Fury objectives or over by the Fire Giant, it just didn't feel like Very Nice to Me could find a whole lot of openings, and a lot of that pressure was just established off of brutally punishing Amiel in the mid lane. It felt like Amiel was effectively shut out of this match.
It was definitely hard to deal with the mobility and the blink plays. Mollusk able to make it happen. This is the variance that they were talking about on the cast, how Mollusk, some days he'll be scratching your head about what he's doing, and then games like this where he's on a roll when he has the support of Pain Davion playing the Kuzenbo, that he's just running wild.
It was certainly a different kind of performance from Mollusk, but I think we are all under the same sentimental value or feelings when it comes to Mollusk, in that sometimes you want to tell him, Mollusk uninstall, other times you're like, Mollusk, you're the greatest jungler alive.
Well, you got to give the confidence to the junglers from time to time. So that was set number 4. This is going to put Very Nice to Me at 8-1, still sitting pretty at number 1. It's going to put also the members out of Classified rather 5-3, tied with Sanguine. And now moving back to set number 3, where it was Armada versus Sanguine. Armada coming out with a victory in that one. And I'm looking specifically at BennyQ and Sops. Sops was playing the Morgan, BennyQ was playing the Ram in that game, and I think they had the late game presence that they needed.
They had a lot of late game presence. I don't really think I saw it as much from BennyQ's perspective. I think that Sanguine were doing an excellent job at focusing out BennyQ and keeping him pinned away. Young Lad especially was all over BennyQ, not allowing that Ram to do much of anything, and that's where Sops really came into the picture, because he did a great job to take over when they couldn't find that pressure from Benny.
I think what Armada did correct in this game was focusing out Sheikah's Discordia, not allowing him a lot of breathing room to make the plays happen. And finally, a lot of back and forth action, but it took 39 minutes of play to find the victory for Armada, still securing their number 2 seed here, up at 6-3.
It was so back and forth, though, between those two teams. For a moment, I'm pretty sure neither of us was really certain of who would end up actually taking that one home, because there were multiple engagements, in fact, where both Armada and Sanguine would lose 2, sometimes 3 members, and yet neither side would ever really feel comfortable trying to aggress into the other.
Well, that was your set number 3 of the day, but moving backwards a little bit further was Classified against Sanguine. Not the best performance out of Mollusk this time around, that was playing the Hunbat, but Grave had a pretty good job doing the Freya work. And I think where Classified dropped the ball was their Titan push at the very end, leaving it at, what, about 5% health. Just couldn't seal the deal there.
Everything from that moment forward was just questionable from Classified, to say the least there. It was first it started off Grave. We gets picked trying to defend the T1 tower in a what, like a 1v3, 1v4.
Yeah.
Everybody from Sanguine was in the area, and it just didn't really make much sense. And it's fine. Picks happen, mistakes happen. That's okay. But then the team decision from Classified to pursue things further and look to get revenge or something like that. There's really no other way to put it. They just take up an engagement they shouldn't have into Sanguine, all end up wiping. Full deicide happens for Sanguine, and then that just makes the push down the mid lane too easy. Speaking
of Sanguine, the Hunter out of Sanguine, Diesel, is going to be your game number 2 MVP, playing the Hoi. Very aggressive alongside Minerals Athena. We saw it banned away in game number 3, but allowing him to play it in game number 2 was a very quick first blood onto Pain Deviant, and that was the focus point, I think, out of Sanguine to just eliminate Pain from the game.
A well-earned MVP, too, from Diesel in this match. He was on top of Zaxi, and this was probably the most coordinated that I felt Diesel was with Sheikah. And I think that if we can see a little bit more of that play off of each other, then Sanguine could be a very serious threat to some of the other teams.
Man, it's going to be such a tight race for that number 3 spot between, very nice to me, Sanguine, Classified, and Armada. But going back to the very first set of the day, very nice to me takes on Ranked All-Stars. No surprise to see the result in the favor of very nice to me, Taco.
Yeah, I hate to see it, but Ranked All-Stars just didn't really seem to stand much of a chance there. Both the experience on very nice to me's side of things and just their gameplay in general was a little bit too overwhelming. But there was some promise from Ranked All-Stars. It wasn't all doom and gloom for the guys on Ranked All-Stars. I think we saw some very promising moments from Derek C. Cucumber, a.k.a. Mirage.
Sure.
And I think also, is it Captain Falcon still for Man Ray?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. Well, Captain Falcon as well, I think, had a pretty standout performance, too.
You can't separate those two. But on the side of very nice to me, your game number 1 MVP is going to be Solo Retrol. Believe he was playing that Baron Samedi. Indeed, he was doing a good job rotating to... Oh, sorry, he was playing the Pele this time around, and very aggressive in this game specifically.
You got Haddix on the brain, and for good reason. Haddix had a very awesome performance, and he was probably keeping Ranked All-Stars hopes alive here for a while, but just couldn't hold out in the very end. The Pele power just a little bit too overwhelming for Ranked All-Stars to truly handle.
Yeah, and with this first victory now, to wrap things up for very nice to me, they're going to be at 8-1 in the standings. Ranked All-Stars still struggling without a single victory thus far in the fall split. And if we just take a look at the week number 5 schedule, we'll see how all these teams kind of performed in the offline matchup. Armada found their victory over Cryptic. And I'm looking back at that Classified versus Sanguine set, which could come back to hurt Classified because they were in a position to win it, considering they beat very nice to me.
And that's what's probably going to kill Classified pending on what happens next week, totally, with the closing of the fall split and only one spot pretty much left up for the taking.
That's right.
Classified are going to be kicking themselves severely for having beaten very nice to me, but then dropping the ball against Sanguine.
So let's take a look at North America standings now as a result of today's schedule. Very nice to me, still at the top, finding their first loss to Classified. Armada finding their victory over Sanguine. As a result, they still hold on to that number 2 spot. Sanguine and Classified coming into this day at 4-2 apiece and leave this day at 5-3 apiece.
And only time will tell what's going to happen with the rest here, totally, but I'm certainly looking forward to the future of the SMITE Minor League as they approach the round-robin stages.
That's right. Week number 6 is right around the corner, so let's go take a look at that schedule. Looking at Europe, Poppies will face off against Exordum in the offline. Insignum trying to defend their number 3 spot, or their top 3 spot, rather, against Sacred Speed. Both Optimus Gang against Poppies should be an interesting one from Europe.
Optimus Gang as well has been on a bit of a tear, but Poppies can always fight back. I think that when it matters most, we tend to see the Poppies really shine and stick out, so I'll be sure to keep an eye out, and you guys back at home should too.
And those North American matchups, very nice to me against Sanguine, Armada against Classified. Very nice to me could be playing spoiler to allow Sanguine their birthright into that top 3.
But that same sentiment could be shared for Cryptic as well there. Cryptic going up against Sanguine, if Cryptic managed to finagle a win away from Sanguine, that could be the break that Classified need.
That's right, and remember all these teams trying to get to their top 3 spots, whether it's North America or Europe, because they're trying to get to HRX, but you folks at home can just log on to your browsers, go to highresexpo.com, November 16th through the 18th, downtown Atlanta, Georgia at the Congress Center. We got SMITE World Championship, the Console World Championship, a little bit of Paladins action, and some more festivities.
Not to mention, it is DreamHack in general. There's going to be a lot more game titles available than just the high-risk specific ones, so you don't miss out. DreamHack is bound to be an excellent and fun time, and just in case you do happen to miss out on everything, you can always try to catch up at the after-party event.
That's right, HRX Afterparty.eventbrite.com. Going to be hosted by the Main Event Entertainment, so make sure to come get those crisp handshakes out of Finch. You're not going to want to miss that one.
It's the crisp handshakes, really.
It's always the
seals
crisp
the deal
handshakes.
for me on that one. And as always, you keep in mind that the after party is probably going to be your best chance of actually getting a chance to sit down with some of your favorite players and even some of the staff from Hi-Rez. The actual calamity of the Hi-Rez Expo can be a little complicated throughout the week, but that's the moment where everybody likes to unwind.
That's right. The community is just such a tight-knit community. I really like seeing all the cosplayers as well. But there's going to be a cosplay event at HRX, so you're not going to want to miss that one. And you know what, Taco? You're not going to want to miss the SPL later today because we got some more SMITE action for you at 3 p.m. Eastern Time. So I hope to see you guys then.